Good morning. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. I'm Robert McNeely. A joy to be with you as it's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. We are awaiting Karoline Leavitt for a press briefing on this beautiful Friday. We're hoping that you're enjoying the Friday follies and getting ready for a wonderful weekend in America. Probably the biggest highlight this week for President Trump, his agreement with the new UK deal between our wonderful countries, the United States and the United Kingdom. In case you missed it, came up with a great trade deal on May 8th, just yesterday, the 80th anniversary of Victory over Europe Day. We thank our sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, Colonial Metals Group. With all of what's happening with the Chinese Communist Party and tariffs and inflation, thanks to AutoPen and all of those crazy things out there, you have to protect your savings. It's not just a privilege now, but really a priority to have gold and silver as part of your portfolio. So scan that QR code now or go to freegoldguy.com/RSBN for all you need to know regarding Colonial Metals Group, the best in the business. And guess who endorsed this group? None other than Judge Jeanine Pirro, who is going to be the interim chief of the D.C. Circuit when it comes to prosecuting. So she's going to be a federal attorney now in the Trump administration. President Trump giving her this post, and we look forward to seeing her back on the bench of sorts, but really presenting before the District Court of Appeals on behalf of the government. So congratulations to Judge Jeanine, but we know she's a smart cookie, so she likes Colonial Metals Group, and you should too, because they really are the best in the business. Paul Stone, the wonderful CEO, generously supporting Right Side Broadcasting and its efforts to bring you unbridled access to your administration. So scan that QR code now today, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. It's your go-to for everything gold and silver, a must in this day and age. And when you've taken care of your financial worries, what about health? Because at the end of the day, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything else. And All Family Pharmacy is watching out for you on a daily basis. So imagine this. The pharmacy has closed and you can't get access to that much needed medication. And then even a scarier thing is to think that it's not out of stock, but Big Pharma doesn't want you to have things like ivermectin, methylene blue, 200 other essential medications and antibiotics that can make you safe in a pandemic, in a storm, in an emergency where you can't get access to much needed medications. That's where All Family Pharmacy comes in. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN is your go-to. Code RSBN10, that's 10% off of your order. When others make it complicated, All Family Pharmacy makes it simple. Just the meds you want when you need them, even overnight, with doctors available 24/7. Because being prepared is not optional anymore. It's about your everyday life, like when your spouse runs out of the blood pressure medication or you have a son or daughter with a fever spiking in the middle of the night. And again, that pharmacy is closed. All Family Pharmacy takes care of that. No insurance, no hassle, just peace of mind getting shipped to your door overnight vis-a-vis a doctor on site. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, your go-to. Again, code RSBN10, that's 10% off. During this broadcast, we will replay a great interview I had this week with none other than David McCary, one of the fine pharmacists at this great organization, and he'll go through all the exact details on why this is your great go-to in this day and age. So thank you to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN for being on the right side of history. And this is a big news week. There's no question about that. The White House detailing everything that's good in this plan. Really, it's not bad at all, quite frankly, between the United States and between the United Kingdom. So let's go through some details on that. This is in the context and objectives of what was accomplished here. President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer committed to deliver shared prosperity for American and British citizens alike. The governments have a unique partnership to enhance freedom and liberty, but also economic partnership through the U.S.-UK new trade deal. So this is the Economic Prosperity Deal. It'd be known as the EPD. As a first of its kind, the United States and the United Kingdom expect the EPD to address three core objectives based on fairness and reciprocity: to grow the quality and volume of mutually beneficial trade deals between the United States and the United Kingdom, starting with the EPD, and to remove barriers to make it easier for American and British businesses to operate, invest, and trade in both countries, and to ensure that special relationship is rooted in an enduring economic partnership that is fair, reciprocal, future-facing, and built on a shared vision of the challenges that face the Western world. So this document serves to define the general terms of the EPD that is set forth between the United States and the United Kingdom to make bilateral agreements more accessible, more substantial, and alongside this document covering our trading relationship, we are continuing discussions toward transformative technology partnerships between our countries. The United States and the United Kingdom are immediately beginning negotiations of the EPD to develop and formalize the initial proposals that have been formalized and implemented. So I expect many more deals when it comes to AI, when it comes to automobiles, when it comes to our shared defense systems on a global scale. The United States and the United Kingdom understand that the EPD can further be expanded over time to cover additional areas, and each country intends to further get down to the brass knuckle barrel of all that matters between the two of us, improving markets and that access under this EPD deal. So both the United States and the United Kingdom recognize that this document does not constitute a legally binding agreement. So really think of it at-will employment. It's kind of as if someone's upset with something, they can back out. So this is really a great deal for both countries. Also in the news this week, we have a new pontiff in the Holy See, Pope Leo XIV. This Robert Prevost, the former cardinal, now the Bishop of Rome, is an American. He's from Chicago, Illinois, of all things. There's some debate if he's a Cubs fan or a Sox fan. I'm going to get to the bottom of that this weekend because I got to figure out just what's going on there. And I fortunately have a few friends in the church who actually do know the Pope. So I'm going to try to reach out to them, try to get some information. Maybe we could bring them on the show and find out this age-old question. Is this Southsider actually a North Side fan? Or vice versa. So we'll check that out for you. Always the important questions right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. But Sean Duffy as well, rolling out a state-of-the-art new air traffic control system. And his goal really is to get this funding through the legislature, but this is a public-private partnership that will be, bar none, create the safest air traffic control that we've seen in modern history. And yesterday, you missed the press gaggle just after the coverage of what we had with all of those CEOs, CFOs of the respective airlines, also the air traffic control experts talking about these important situations. We had the family members from American Airlines Flight 5342 that sadly crash landed with the helicopter or collided midair before landing over the Potomac in Washington, D.C. So sad, and our thoughts and prayers are with the family members and with those great patriots. That gymnastics team was on that flight. And you just don't expect something like that to happen, but this team is immediately fixing that. And when we have that video ready, we could toss to you the press gaggle between the in-town pool and also Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy regarding all of that. So that was an important one not to miss because there were so many details there. Even President Trump calling in that moment to a dialogue with the people in attendance at that announcement, and also Senator Ted Cruz there on hand as well. So you know this is a very important legislative item for the administration. And Secretary Duffy said whether it is the big, beautiful bill, as you've heard from President Trump, helping push that through the House and the Senate, if this is included in that, the more the merrier, or if they want to do it separately. Secretary Duffy very focused on keeping that up to the House Speaker and to other leadership within the House of Representatives. So we'll see that forthcoming. And that press gaggle from yesterday is ready. It's about 18 minutes, and apologies, the audio is not so great from the press initially, but then that clears up after about a minute. So lean your ears in, but then all is well right after that. So Secretary Sean Duffy from yesterday.
Different members from the coalition.
So yeah, we have different from the coalition here. I can take all they can as well. I'll be sure to pass them off. Yeah.
Hi, Secretary Duffy, Olivia Rinaldi, CBS News. Can you clarify on the funding? Are you asking for it all up front? You say that you are. Is this part of Trump's big, beautiful bill? Where is it standalone? Can you clarify?
That's a great question. So I'm going to leave that to the Congress, right? How do you want to do this? They can take a look at the numbers and what they think it's going to cost. So listen, the House and the Senate, the committees of jurisdiction, have worked on this kind of infrastructure in the past. So I want them to come up with numbers. If they want to allow us to bid this out and get numbers from industry to do the project, that's fine. But again, whether it's part of the big, beautiful bill or it comes in a different package, we do need all the money. And I think the Congress understands that the mistakes of the past truly have been these partial tranches of money that come. You can't do it that way. This is too big of an undertaking to have to sign contracts and not have the money to execute.
You don't have the bottom line figure right now what this will cost.
I'm giving it to Congress. What we did today was we laid out the plan. We laid out what is necessary to make this system great, which is you have to redo it all, simply put. So what's key on the timeline front is some people have said, and I heard the media say this is a 10-year project. This is a 15-year project. I take your point because when you look at the history, you would say this takes 10, 15 years. And by the way, nothing gets built in 10 or 15 years. It's never worked. So what we're doing is working with the FAA, which has a great team. We believe we can do this in 3 to 4 years. It's probably closer to 4 than it is to 3, but 2 things have to happen. One is we need the money, and 2, we have to have permitting reform. And just to be clear on permitting reform, this can be challenging sometimes. If you're building a road, you're building a new building, that can be challenging. We're talking about laying fiber. So it's not the most invasive build that we're going to do, and I think the Congress, Democrats and Republicans, will see how important this is to the airspace, and I think they're going to join in the effort. Yeah. I can go for it.
Do you have a ballpark estimate of how much this will cost?
It's going to be billions, lots of billions. I want to, I want to. So you've heard the $12.5 billion. It's going to be more than that. But again, I want the Congress to work its magic, and for me to put out a number to the Congress, I do want to partner with them, let them take a look, and I want to work with them before I give them specific numbers on what it's going to cost. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, Secretary, had this been in place, do you think January's tragedy could have been prevented?
This is different, right? It could have had an impact in saving lives. But it's a good point. We had 85 near misses at DC, and I think all the airline CEOs would tell you, all of industry would tell you this was dangerous. And we should have seen that it was going to cost lives if we don't stop cross traffic in the DC area. Now it's my job to say, what other risks do I see? Because I don't want to take a conversation with a family who lost a loved one because I didn't take action in something that was foreseeable. This is foreseeable. It's a known problem, and this country has to come together and get it done. And we could compare this to going to the moon. Listen, America can do this. I mean, and the amount of money that Congress spends on a lot of things, this is a pretty doable investment. As they look at what's entailed, they can make it happen.
Secretary Duffy, in the past, it's taken the FAA years to get things done, right? The NOTAM system will take at least 2.5 years to get done. The paper strips aren't going to get, slotted out until 2029. And next gen, we spent $14 billion over 15 years, and that's years behind. What's different this time? How are you going to ensure these reforms get done quickly and we don't repeat the mistakes of the past?
So that's a great question, and I'm going to answer it with another question. You said NOTAM was going to be done when?
September this year.
September, but it was going to be done years from now. Administrator Rushlow and his team, we were like this, we saw that failing infrastructure, it's going to come this summer, right? It is going to be done this summer. And so you have people that are committed and have looked at the problems of the past and why builds haven't worked. and again, it comes from partial funding. Next Gen, I would classify the problem as trying to build, again, you're trying to upload, iPhone software onto the flip phone. Right, we're trying to think through that, and instead of realizing you're using the flip phone, the technology is too old for your thought process on Next Gen. You're 1 or 2 steps ahead of the technology you're currently using. So what we're doing is, truly, the FAA has talked to other countries around the world, looked at the systems that they use, and what we are proposing to build here will truly be the best in the world and the most advanced technology. Yeah.
Mariana Politico. The president today said he wants one big, beautiful contract, and I don't know if that means one company or a handful to execute this. But wouldn't that create pitfalls across the system for the FAA, which already has multiple contracts, and the work that they're already doing to modernize the system?
So with the FAA, we're working through current contracts and how we navigate, how we move forward. But a lot of the current providers are going to be part of what we're going to do. But the president's point, and by the way, the president's a builder. This is the first thing he said to me, is like, the FAA is not qualified to do this massive construction on the air traffic control system. He said you need one contractor. Like, if it's not much different if you build, Trump Tower, you want one contractor to be responsible for all the subs and the coordination between all the subs. And I would agree with him on that. I think what's going to be different here as well is oftentimes there's engagement at a very mid-level management for the FAA. We're going to deal with anyone who bids and gets contracts for this project. We are going to deal with them at the CEO level. I want CEOs to commit to delivering for this infrastructure. And I would just tell you that by doing that, we're going to have far more responsiveness. And just the FAA traditionally is put at the bottom of the work order list for companies. We are going to be put, I can't say we're going to be put ahead of the DoD, but right after the DoD, the FAA is going to be put. This is a national priority, and it's going to be a job one for a lot of the companies that engage with us. Yes.
Secretary Karoline, New York Times. How does this effort fit in with spending cuts across the federal government, including at the FAA? I know air traffic controllers haven't been cut, but adjacent jobs have been cut.
At the FAA? No, not true. So
Researchers that work on.
No, we had probationary employees that we let go across the DOT. Many of them have come back, and so we have the capacity and the teams to do this project. But all critical safety positions across the DOT, including the FAA, have been walled off. They can't leave, right? We've actually hired more air traffic controllers. NATCA has been a great partner with us. We've been trying to surge air traffic controllers. And so we feel comfortable with the team that we have with money and clearing the deck on permitting. We'll be in a good space. And by the way, we're talking about efficiency. We want efficiency in government. And I don't know if you guys picked up on this. We spend $250 million to $400 million a year just in additional payments to telecom companies to service copper wires. That doesn't go to any new infrastructure. That's just to pay to use the old stuff. And so, again, this efficiency is going to be experienced across the FAA and the airspace. Yeah.
Will Guys, out of the Air Current. So you're talking about permitting reform as a key pillar.
Yep.
Being able to do this on a timeline you're describing. Maybe this is a question for Administrator Richwell.
I'm happy to pass it to him.
Can you talk a little bit about the specific sort of efforts to look at there? I understand a lot of that permitting work actually happens inside the FAA for making sure things are being implemented safely, especially at like the airport level. So what are you looking at to just try to streamline things from the permitting perspective?
So now that if the acting administrator wants to talk about that, I'm talking about not the certifying of the equipment we want to use. I'm talking about when we are going to go in the field and actually do construction. We need to be able to navigate far more quickly the permitting process. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what Congress can help us with as we go through. Do you want to?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Secretary, Phil LeBeau, CNBC. How quickly would you like to put some of these contracts out to bid, or the big contract out to bid, and how quickly, realistically, do you believe you can start to see some work being done that is attached to this project that you outlined?
So attached to this project, I'll just tell you that we're already building up in the Philly Tracon, right? We're pulling that information and stars out of N90 up in New York. So our two redundant lines both are up and working now. However, we are doing this new build right now with fiber at the Philly Tracon. But what I would, and again, I don't want to offend the Congress. I got to serve in the Congress, and I know we can become offended very quickly and easily. It's hard for me to put this out for bid before I have the money, and that can offend the Congress. But what I'd like to think about is get some approval from the Congress if they think we're going to get the dollars, to get companies that would want to bid on this, get them to start thinking about it, so we can move faster once we have the money. They know it's coming, and they have worked through their thought process on what their bid could be and should be and what the costs are, so we can move faster when the dollars arrive, as opposed to get the dollars, then get them to think about it, and then get their bid, and we'll be into next year. I don't want that. I want to move faster than that. Yes?
Do you see a role for Elon Musk's Starlink in this, and what does this mean for the effort that's being led by Verizon that's going on right now?
So first, I'll do Verizon last. I got to tell you, I have worked with the Verizon CEO. We talk every 2 weeks. They have been fantastic partners thus far in dealing with the infrastructure that we currently use, dealing with the fees that some of their subcontractors are trying to charge us. So I can't say enough about Verizon, and Hans has been really helpful to the FAA. With regard to Elon Musk, I'm agnostic. Are we going to, so first of all, fiber is the gold standard. We want to use fiber, that's the best. There's some places where we're going to look for other technology. Is it going to be cell service? Is it going to be satellite? Yeah, possibly. That's we're going to look at some other technologies, but the main technology is going to be fiber. So I can't commit that Elon Musk is going to get or not get anything. I'm going to let this go through the process. But again, the best technology is fiber.
Secretary
back.
Adam Tuss, Channel 4. How frustrated are you with the current situation around Reagan National Airport with planes and helicopters getting too close to one another? And then, have you talked to the Army about it? What is your relationship with the Army?
So our teams have been in contact with the Army just in regard to the incident last week. The Army's indicated to us that they didn't have generals. This was not a VIP transport. This was a training mission. I take them at face value. Some of you have tried to make a play like Secretary Hegseth and I don't get along. Secretary Hegseth is a friend of mine. We communicate often together. As we went through the DCA air crash, we were in constant contact. So the Secretary is a friend. He shut down the airspace for 2 weeks at the Pentagon, which I appreciate. And we're going to work together to figure out what's an appropriate level of helo traffic coming out of the Pentagon and what works for the DCA airspace. But again, we're friends and we work together, and I appreciate his partnership in this situation. Yes. I'm concerned about safety. And so is the Secretary Hegseth is too. So is the Army. They serve the American people. So I want to make sure that the airspace is safe. And when I have a breach of minimum separation between helos and fixed-wing aircraft, that concerns me. And so frustrated, I want to get us to a good place where we all feel like the airspace is safe and how we're using it, and we can do that in partnership, and that's why those conversations are taking place. Yes.
Mr. Secretary, Nathan with AP, will you propose privatizing the air traffic control system like President Trump supported in his first term? And then secondly, for Acting Administrator Russillo, will you spin off the air traffic control system from FAA?
No. Listen, that's a political fight that happened. This is not about separating anybody. We are all standing together. And if someone else, some other secretary, some other administrator, some other CEO, some other leads of unions want to have that fight, once we're done, they can have that. I'll be long gone. We're talking about the issue of our day is we all stand together, and we are going to build a brand new air traffic control system. Full stop. We're not privatizing. We're not, kicking off the system to somebody else. This is all of us standing together to build this critical infrastructure brand new. I'll do a couple more. Yes.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Jones of News Nation. I want to piggyback on layoffs.
If you guys want to ask these guys questions too, I'm happy to pass on. I'm not going to do that.
The word you've mentioned, efficiency. Is this infrastructure being designed in a way where fewer air traffic controllers would be needed than currently?
So I don't actually see that. So what I see is with the efficiency and the expanded use of the airspace, I think we're going to be able to control the airspace that's going to be busier with the same number of controllers. If again, we add on that 3,000, if I can get 3,000 more controllers, I don't think I'm going to need more as the airspace becomes more complicated. I think I'll be able to navigate it with that number of controllers. And just by the way, NATCA has been a good partner for us. Again, that they've worked through that we can get their controllers who are eligible for retirement to stay on. These are the best controllers that we have in the airspace. To get them to stay, and we're going to pay them for it, but to get them to stay and help us out, it's patriotic, and I'm grateful that they're willing to do that. And again, we should pay them for it, but that's critical as we stand up new controllers through Oklahoma City.
Yeah. So, Mr. Secretary, is there any effort to promote domestic manufacturing in terms of the infrastructure with this? It's probably better than relying on eBay, but I'm curious as to whether or not the reliance on other countries in terms of developing this infrastructure.
So we have Buy American priorities within the administration, and I fully endorse and support Buy American, and I want to buy American. I also want to buy the best. And so I'm going to put those two things together as we look at, by the way, America does oftentimes produce the best equipment. So I don't think we're going to be hard pressed to go outside the country. However, if someone is better than a U.S. manufacturer, that's something that we should consider, because I think the American people expect nothing less than the best. And if you're going to do this, you have to do it well. And again, it has to be so well that you can build on top of it. I said I want to thank this coalition, and it's been said numerous times that a coalition like this has never ever been put together. This is the biggest lift, the biggest build that has ever happened in the history of the FAA, and it's so needed that even if we have some disagreements on certain parts, or we're having disagreements on some other issues, we are all standing together, and we are telling the American people that this is a priority, that we have to do it. And so, again, Nick has been fantastic. I told him, I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to make that joke. I was going to say, stand up, Nick. I can't wait. That was a joke. That's his joke. I stole his joke from him. So, Nick has done a great job of building this coalition. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard in the sense that people want to participate, but wrangling everybody and putting the team together. He's been just a fantastic leader, and I want to thank him and everyone else who was part of this. And thank you all for coming out. God bless, and let's get this done.
Oh, it's so refreshing to have a professional at the Secretary's Office of Transportation, because we know the last one was a DEI loser, and we have a real winner now in Sean Duffy. And it's good to push back against certain questions, although I would give a lot of credit to that in-town pool. They asked some good, dignified questions. But Sean Duffy had to say, look, there's other people here to talk to that are important. Maybe you want to ask them some questions, but also this idea that he has this rivalry with Pete Hegseth, the Pentagon chief. Why would the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Transportation be dueling in such a situation where they can work so closely together, and they're personal friends on top of it? So we're fortunate to have media experts and subject matter experts on these two crucial issues for national security, transportation, and defense coming together to make all of this happen. So let's get to work, Congress. Let's get it done, and let's really come into the 21st century like other nations are. Thank you to our sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, Colonial Metals Group. Because of all of these crazy things happening, whether it's properties, assets, 401ks, or IRAs, I'm sure you're prepared for your financial future and your retirement, but gold and silver should be part of your portfolio. Even Judge Jeanine Pirro, that great patriot who will be serving in D.C. thanks to President Trump, endorses this great group because Paul Stone, the CEO, wants you to shield your savings now. Scan that QR code now. This is truly the best group in the business. Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguy.com/RSBN. Just look at what the Chinese Communist Party is doing. War games against Taiwan. You have also the tariffs being thrown at the United States. Remember those spy balloons that came flying over the country with AutoPen? Not anymore with President Trump, but also governors on the Republican side of the aisle stopping the Communist Party from buying up prime American farmland around our military bases. Why do you think they're doing that? It's because they're trying for global domination, world domination, and the one thing in their way, the United States of America. But regardless of the government you live under, regardless of the leadership, protect yourself with gold and silver. Gold going up over 7,000% in value since 1971 when the Nixon administration went off of that gold standard. So do not delay. Go to freegoldguy.com/RSBN today. Scan that QR code now. Thank you to Paul Stone and Colonial Metals Groups for sponsoring us at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live and angelpaste.com. Experience the miracle today. The original vitamin B miracle cream, the vitamin C immunity booster known as their orange option, the mosquito repellent, and also the beautiful facial spray for guys and gals, among many other items at angelpaste.com. All natural, non-GMO. There's no chemicals. So what you're putting on your face, you know, is actually good for you and won't send chemicals through your skin. So important nowadays because other products carry a lot of nonsense, and we're trying to make America healthy again. Christian owned, they hire veterans out of Spring, Texas, just outside of the Houston Metroplex, off of the Gulf of America in that beautiful Lone Star state of Texas. Thank you to angelpaste.com for making my skin glow and many others as well. Angelpaste.com, experience the miracle today. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history. And we truly have the best sponsors in all of the business as we await Karoline Leavitt holding a press briefing right there at the White House in the West Wing, the James S. Brady press briefing room. And there is those ominous clouds over the Capitol today, which is still, a nice overcast day in Washington, D.C., our federal city, a beautiful place to enjoy with the family over the summer. I hope you have some summer vacations all lined up and planned as the kids get out of school. And also congratulations to the graduates of the two premier universities here in Alabama. That's, of course, Alabama itself, where legends are made. And we're home, of course, of the Auburn Tigers. War Eagle, we love our home team crowd, and we love this state, and we love all of you, the graduates who might be watching. Go get them. Listen to President Trump. Listen to Coach Saban. Listen to Senator Tuberville. Get out there. Keep your momentum. Don't take no for an answer, and be good to people, and make sure that that elevator goes back down when you start climbing the steps of success. Remember, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And as you pursue all of those dreams with a monumental victory and graduating from your favorite institutions, make sure that public service is part of that fold, because without that, it really is an incomplete life. What will complete it is what you give back. And we know that from this group, this administration, now 100 plus days in the Oval Office. Well, we had a great interview as well with All Family Pharmacy's David McCary. He really details how important this group is, because you might have questions like, well, what about urgent care? Well, I can just wait a few days. I'll go down to that pharmacy. No, he has the right reasons as to why you should go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN for code RSBN10. You get 10% off all these essential medications, ivermectin, 200 essential medications, antibiotics as well. But he details it so well in a recent interview I had with him just this week, and we'll play that for you right now. We are joined by All Family Pharmacy pharmacist David McCary. Welcome to the show, sir. Can you start by telling us a bit about your background and how long you've been in the pharmaceutical field?
Thank you, Robert, and thank you for having me here today. I've been a pharmacist for almost 40 years here in Florida, practicing from all different aspects of the profession, from big box chain pharmacy, independent pharmacy, hospital pharmacy, and of course, independent private practice and specialty as well. And I'm also affiliated with as past president and board chairman of the Florida Pharmacy Association, as well as the Palm Beach County Pharmacy Association.
So your expertise has led you really through the changes of the medical industry in our country, and I'm sure globally as well. In your experience, what makes working with All Family Pharmacy such a wonderful company that is really beholden to those who are in need of this access to life-saving medications?
Great question, and I'm excited to be able to share that with you and the viewers. The pharmacy, All Family Pharmacy, is extremely unique in that, we're able to bring back the practice of pharmacy, practice of medication, the dispensing, to help the patients get what they really need and to help have a better general wellness and being in treatment of any issues, conditions, therapies that they may need to desire. We're also unique in the sense of that we're not limited and restricted to certain procedures or protocols that have to be followed. We're allowed to do a little bit more the traditional pharmacy of practice, if you will, and that allows us, I think, a much better success rate than previous years.
And break that down for us, that personal approach versus, say, a big chain pharmacy, and where that has changed over the course of the last several decades.
Basically, it means giving people real choices. We're not here to do any change the normal procedures for physicians to diagnose and to treat, but we're here to assist with some of the other ideas and concepts of the practicing to contribute to that and collaborate with them. We work with all licensed and registered physicians, and they have the medical freedom to share with the people and get informed consent. A lot of all the medications we do, obviously, are all safe. They have been, regular, normal procedures and everything through FDA approval. But we also know and realize that there's a lot of medications out there that what you call off-label use that has been done for years and years of practice that we seem right now to have a lot more advancement, but unfortunately there's a lot of hesitation out there. And we're here to educate and help share that with our physicians to our patients for the best successful treatment and therapy out there possible.
And President Trump championed in his first term the right to try legislation, even executive orders, and really opened up that gateway to Americans taking control of their health care. How is All Family Pharmacy specifically doing that to give power into the hands of the consumer once again?
Well, we're a huge advocate of MAHA, exactly what it states, make America healthy again. So years ago, everything seemed to be on the right track with the health system, being able to, get the best health care available. Unfortunately, over the past few years, it hasn't been so great with that, as we all know. So we're trying to go back and see what we can evaluate. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We realize that we had a lot of great success, but there's so much more. Prime example, if something is, and I'm going to reiterate again, I mentioned off-label use. If we know that there's been some studies and research out there that there's a potential possibility of other medications contributing and helping and altering, to a positive influence of some other medical disease state, even though it may not have been FDA approved, if it's successful, we need to further investigate. We need to try that and develop and see what other potentials out there. As you may be well aware, a lot of drugs out there that end up getting FDA approval have started that way. They weren't necessarily being intended for that use, but they found out through trial and error that there was other indications for it. And lo and behold, these drugs came out and now they're being very widely used and very successful. So we're here to share that, as well as the main focus I'd like to say also is to help educate people regarding their health care. Education is power and knowledge is power. And we need people to realize that and bring that back to America again, especially for health.
Now, in addition to the pharmacies and countering that with All Family Pharmacy, giving you that true access to important life-saving medications, what if someone says, how does this compare to urgent care or anything where you could be facing something in the middle of the night and you need those life-saving medications, how is this the most beneficial option versus what else might be out there?
Okay, great question. We're certainly, obviously we all understand the need and the importance of an urgent care, minor emergency. They're all extremely, extremely important, and I don't think they'll ever be surpassed. But we're able to work with people on a long-term, regular basis. If they need a script and they're concerned about something, we can get it prepared for them. We have our physicians that are able to get the prescriptions for them. You're not sitting in a waiting room. You're not waiting for hours. We don't have that medication. We have to order it. Could you come back in a couple of days? We're able to access all that. We have overnight delivery. We also show the importance of not necessarily waiting till that important time where you're really, really sick, a loved one is sick and they need some. We want to also, the best thing, as the old saying is, to be prepared is so important. So we allow somebody to get the medications and keep them on hand, certain types of antibiotics and anti-inflammatories and antifungal, other things that are important to have, as well as other maintenance medications, but to have them available, to have them in stock. You're not worried about if you're going to run out. You're not worried when you go away on vacation. And as you well know, with all the natural disasters out there, God forbid something comes about and you don't realize that you're on your last couple of days of medicine, there's no power, there's no electricity, at least you're prepared. So at least, we have everything you can. You can order in a bulk quantity. You're not limited to the insurances restricting and putting, tying your hands, say, oh, you're only allowed a 30-day supply. We allow you to get, much more than that, whether it be a 6-month, whatever the doctor is okay with, for other medications, especially maintenance medications that most people will be on for the rest of their life. We're able to do that because we're not restricted, we're not limited, and our hands are not tied. And people just love that concept to be in control and to have that freedom to be able to do that again.
And you will need a prescription for most of these medications, correct?
Yes, sir, of course. And that's where, as I mentioned in the beginning, that all of our physicians are all licensed, staffed, registered within the United States. Our pharmacists, including myself and the other colleagues that I have, we have all that available. We provide that for you. So it's all, a turnkey process from the beginning after you make the phone call here. The physicians that we set you up with, we get have the medications here. We ship them out if need be for overnight and everything else. It's that easy, that simple. But yes, by law, it has to be through prescriptions. We don't change anything different regarding the laws with that.
And speak to us about ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, how these medications are very healthy and helpful for most Americans, but also why has some in the pharmaceutical industry turned their backs on these life-saving drugs?
Great question, and I'm glad you asked that. Those drugs have been around for years. So it's not something new. We're not wondering if it's going to be safe and effective because we know that they are. They actually do have FDA approval. What we're trying to show, and to have the availability to our patients is that they're also used for other indications. Even though it may not have been FDA approved at this point thus far, it's still able to be used, and rightfully so, because physicians do have that legal right to use for off-label use, as long as it's under their supervision, to be able to try it for other treatments, other therapies. And we've had multiple patients using these medications for these off-label use with extreme, wonderful success. And that's why we just want to help educate, share that with our patients to know that there's hope, there's other availability, and there's options available to our patients and other patients out there if they so desire and they feel that it fits their need.
And as a pharmacist, would you recommend not only these drugs, but what other life-saving medications would you recommend to have in your medicine cabinet? So like you said, in case there's a storm, an emergency, in case you can't get those medications within minutes or hours of needing them, is there anything that you would rather have in your medicine cabinet ready to go in case there is an emergency?
Most definitely. The top ones, obviously, broad spectrum antibiotic. That way it covers majority of issues. So a nice broad spectrum antibiotic. Obviously, inflammation, you're in pain, something happened in that area. We have medications that I would strongly recommend as well for that, anti-inflammatories for people. For also, and we do a lot with wellness, we also suggest in conjunction with the medications is supplements. We also recommend zinc and vitamin D and magnesium, other things that you can take on a regular basis to help your immune system and to help your body and prepare for any other ailments or disease states that may linger on or that have a problem. At least you're building up your body to its best possible form to help fight anything.
And in your expertise, oh yes, sir, in your expertise as well, what is the other item or items on the docket that you would recommend as a health expert for Americans to really take control again of their health care, of their own personal health? Because, we rank pretty low in the industrialized world when it comes to a number of different items. Secretary Kennedy talking about chronic disease and the rise of autism, the rise of so many things that are affecting our everyday health. How do we get back to the society we once had back when Secretary Kennedy's uncle was in office when it comes to American health?
Well, I think, and I'm going to reiterate because to me it's so vitally important, is to be educated and to be informed. We have the technology out there to realize and do some research and hear what's going out there and find out some of the new things. I just think that people really need, and if they're not sure, reach out to us. If they feel they have a question or a concern, reach out, give us a call. We can help guide you. We can help recommend. We can suggest and obviously guide you to our physicians to further discuss this. But it's important to know that you have options and opportunities available to you. It's not just limited to the normal protocol and procedures that the doctors have their standard list that they go through, which is fine in certain circumstances, but sometimes the people need to realize that there's other hope out there, there's other avenues, there's other choices, and we want to make sure that they know that we're here for them for that. That could be majorly beneficial to all parties. Become educated, become informed.
Some great words of advice, David. Where can we find those either phone numbers, websites? How can our viewers get access to All Family Pharmacy?
Well, exactly. You just said the name, allfamilypharmacy.com. And we're located in Boca Raton, Florida, in Palm Beach County. And we're here, 5 days a week. And if need be, we do have an on-call as well, after hours, because I know the United States with all the different time zones. But we're here. We have a phenomenal, great support staff. Customer service ranks is as high we do. We would take a lot of pride in our staff and our colleagues and our professional. We're really, really happy with the team that we have here. Thus the name, All Family Pharmacy. And if you'd like, you can mention this for a 10% discount, RSBN. On the website when you go in as a code to get the 10%. RSBN 10. I repeat that, I'm sorry, I forgot to add the 10. RSBN 10 to receive a discount on any of your purchases.
And we are sharing with our viewers on a regular basis. David McCary of All Family Pharmacy, an expert pharmacist on all this in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida. A great location to help make America healthy again. Thank you, sir. We look forward to having you on again. Again, David McCary from All Family Pharmacy. Thank you for joining us today on The Right Side of History.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it. Have a great day.
With allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Great expertise by Mr. McCary. We look forward to having him back on the show because you can't afford to be really blinded by what might be out there. You need to be prepared. And if there's an emergency, there's a storm, you can't get to the pharmacy or to urgent care, it's a real problem. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Thank you for sponsoring us, and thank you, David McCary, for the great interview as we await Karoline Leavitt to hold a press briefing in roughly 1 hour or so from now, live from the James S. Brady briefing room in the West Wing of the White House. Thank you to our sponsors, mypillow.com/RSBN. The Giza Dreams bed sheet sale going only for $49.98. Think about that. Any color, any size. Promo code RSBN, mypillow.com/RSBN. Call today. Do not delay. 800-836-7566. Again, 800-836-7566. Support Mike Lindell and RSBN by shopping at mypillow.com/RSBN. Easy to remember. Thank you, Mike Lindell, the purveyor of freedom of speech, a great fighter for election integrity. We love what you do, sir. Thank you for keeping it up and for being on the right side of history. And we are going through all the successes from this week, just countless, as President Trump continues to make America great again. We actually have a great playback video from his Truth Social account from yesterday, that meeting in the Oval Office with United States officials, including President Trump, Vice President Vance, Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lucknick, and also Secretary Rollins, just detailing all of the different things they'll be doing. Furthermore, with the United Kingdom, also Switzerland, and that upcoming Middle East tour President Trump will have as his second official overseas trip in the second term of the presidency. But here is a quick recap video from Truth Social regarding yesterday's trade agreement.
This morning, I'm thrilled to announce that we have reached a breakthrough trade deal with the United Kingdom. It is a very special day because it's Victory Day, World War II, May 8th. This is incredible that that day is the same day that we signed a tremendous trade deal for both countries. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade between our two countries will soon be stronger than ever before.
With this President, this Prime Minister, we've managed to achieve what many people have tried to achieve for many years. It feels completely historic.
You've done what you said you would do. You said to the Prime Minister that you would do a good trade deal with the United Kingdom, that you would do it at pace, and that we would be first. And you have delivered that. You've been true to your word. So thank you very much.
The UK ambassador to the United States, and as he said there, promises made, promises kept, a great deal for both countries. Let's break some of that down further. Addressing the tariffs, following a reasonable period of negotiation, the United Kingdom intends to reduce its applied tariff rates on a preferential basis on a range of originating goods of the United States in sectors of importance to our great country. It intends to reduce applied tariff rates on a preferential basis on a range of originating goods in the United Kingdom and in sectors of importance to the United Kingdom as well. So this really focuses in on U.S. beef imports because there have been a high-ranging amount of tariffs against us toward our beef industry, our poultry, all other exports. So this reduces them in the process. The United States intends to provide certain key UK imports with modified reciprocal tariff treatment based on our balanced trading relationship and shared national security priorities. Any such modifications will be consistent with those shared national security priorities, including the priorities identified in Section 232 of those negotiations. Also addressing the non-tariff barriers, the United Kingdom and the United States plan to work constructively in an effort to enhance agricultural market access. Further, both countries positively support future discussions to strengthen bilateral agricultural trade. So that's why Brooke Rollins is going over to the UK this weekend. And then we'll have meetings on Monday and I believe Tuesday to cover all of this as President Trump will be starting his Middle East tour. The United Kingdom and the United States affirm that imported food and agricultural goods must comply with the importing country's sanitary standards and other mutually agreed to standards between the two great nations. So this also increases digital trade in this EPD agreement. Both countries confirm that they will negotiate an ambitious set of digital trade provisions that will include within its scope services, financial services. Both countries also confirm they will negotiate provisions on paperless trade, pre-arrival processing, and digitalized procedures for the movements of goods between our countries. We're strengthening the alignment and collaboration on economic security with this as well. Both countries commit to continuing commercial consideration and opportunities in addition to the national security items. So that could be beneficial of goods, investment opportunities, commercial transactions, and leveraging government policies, license, and programmings where private sector participation can also facilitate such transactions. So you have big public-private partnerships taking place in all of this. And finally, just touching on other matters, both countries confirm that they intend to discuss high standard commitments related to intellectual property rights, protection, and enforcement. Labor practices, including addressing forced labor in supply chains and environmental policies and practices. The United Kingdom will consider the interests of those UK territories for whose international relations is responsible. So the United States and the United Kingdom may also terminate this arrangement by giving written notice to the other. The further plan to discuss procedures for review and termination are as part of negotiations of the EPD. This document became operative yesterday, May 8th, 2025, on the 80th anniversary of the Victory over Europe Day in World War II. So our two countries, we've shared so much together, and now we share in better trade negotiations so that both of our countries can prosper and our middle class can thrive. It's a good day for America. But it wasn't just the President of the United States, it was also the First Lady of the United States getting to a lot of work this week. But first and foremost, Colonial Metals Group, regardless of who's in charge, we know the Chinese Communist Party is doing to our country, throwing tariffs in our direction, also playing war games against that wonderful, beautiful island nation of Taiwan. Scan the QR code now to shield your savings, because the Chinese Communist Party also pursuing buying up our prime farmland. We know that President Trump and many Republican governors stopping this process because they've been surrounding our military industries and bases. How ludicrous, how evil. It's a war game that's going on. So shield your finances now, not only with properties, assets, 401ks and IRAs, but gold and silver. Just common sense in this day and age, because gold has gone up over 7,000% in value and wealth since 1971 under the Nixon administration, when they got rid of the gold standard. Very stupid move, but freegoldguy.com/RSBN is your go-to. Great patriots like Judge Jeanine Pirro, who will be serving in the administration as the top attorney in D.C. on behalf of the federal government, thanks to President Trump. She endorses this group among many other patriots, including yours truly. Paul Stone, the CEO of this organization, is committed to expert analysis when it comes to shielding your finances, savings, and also retirement. Colonial Metals Group, your go-to. Thank you for sponsoring us here on the right side of history. And thank you as well to First Lady Melania Trump. She was outstanding this week, as she always is, announcing the securing of $25 million investments in the president's FY26 budget, so fiscal year 2026, for foster youth. First Lady Melania Trump secured a $25 million investment in President Trump's FY26 budget to provide housing and support for youth transitioning out of foster care. In recognition of the 7th anniversary of Mrs. Trump's Be Best initiative, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development allocated funds toward the agency's foster youth to Independence Program. So that's otherwise known as FYI, the Foster Youth Independence Program. Commenting on this, First Lady Melania Trump said, "I am committed and proud to have successfully secured $25 million to provide housing for individuals aging out of foster care. This is another essential measure that ensures the safety, welfare, and autonomy of those in the foster community." The First Lady continued, Secretary Scott Turner's commitment will provide thousands of youth transitioning out of foster care and that system with dedicated rental assistance and other supportive services to promote stability and self-sufficiency. This dedicated funding for foster youth is a game changer in providing young adults with access to short-term housing assistance and supportive services, which will prevent homelessness. And I am supportive of the First Lady's efforts for her commitment to helping our nation's foster youth through her Be Best initiative and for championing public-private partnerships that are changing lives every day. That was HUD Secretary Scott Turner. First Lady Melania Trump has been actively supporting the foster care community through Fostering the Future, a Be Best initiative for the last several years. And the announcement of this important investment coincides with National Foster Care Month and reflects the First Lady's ongoing commitment to promoting children's well-being and supporting youth through Be Best. Now, about the Foster Youth to Independence program, the FYI program, led by HUD and supported by public housing authorities across the country, offers housing assistance to eligible individuals under the age of 25 who are transitioning out of foster care. And this program is designed to prevent homelessness and provide a foundation for young adults to pursue education, employment, and long-term independence. So, be best, as First Lady Melania Trump says. Thank you for all your work. Our lovely First Lady working so hard with our great President, Donald Trump. Well, it's noon o'clock at the top of the hour on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on that Golden Coast out west. Stick with us here. We're doing a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with you momentarily.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense and they make it easy to get hard to find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Surprise! Thank God it's Friday. Matthew Alvarez is with me in studio. I'm Robert McNeely. It's been a while since we've been on the docket together.
I know, exactly. It was like that a while ago with the campaign season. Obviously, Bobby was all over the country covering the campaign season. And then you were at the University of Alabama commencement, among other trips. So it's just been a while. Happy Friday to you on this May 9th. Also, there's something I wanted to talk to you about on air, which we haven't talked about offline. I love the term that you used for the governor of Illinois, Pritzker, Jelly Belly. That's awesome.
Well, you know you have to, because this is a guy that is clearly breaking the law. It's Section 8 of U.S. Code 1324. And the Democrats in Illinois, I'll be heading back today to surprise Mom for Mother's Day. Surprise. Actually, no, she knows the schedule. She's a lady who needs to know her schedule beforehand, and I appreciate that. But what's happened in Illinois, they have Secretary Noem bravely going there in front of the governor's office in Springfield, that community being hit by illegal immigration. And you have them, this is what the Chicago Machine does. It's Dick Durbin, it's Alexi Giannoulias, the new Secretary of State, it's Jelly Belly Pritzker going after people claiming that they are dispersing American citizens throughout the world. Nothing could be further from the truth. Garcia, this guy in Maryland, they really want to hang their hat on this, is an MS-13 gang member and therefore a terrorist based on President Trump's authorization of foreign terrorist organizations. How is this even up for debate? So the sad thing is, some outlets won't talk about that, but we will, because we want you to have that information. These are harboring illegal aliens. And here's my thought process, Matthew. I think Jelly Belly wants to be arrested. I think he wants the spectacle of it. He saw what happened in Wisconsin with that one judge harboring the illegal alien. You know, it might have to happen. I don't want that to happen, but he's going down this unforgivable route of breaking the law, and no one is above the law in this country.
Exactly right. So also outside of that, the term Jelly Belly, are you the one that brought it up, or has it just been somebody else called him Jelly Belly? Because it's perfect for him.
You know, I want to say I originated it, but perhaps someone else did. Maybe it was in conversation back from my Illinois days where that did happen. He's been in office for a while. Not that our Republican governor prior, Bruce Rauner, did any help with that, because he didn't put up much of a fight against the Jelly Belly. But it's a sad day for Illinois. And really, he was actually in an interview recently just spreading egregious rumors about a number of different things. And this gentleman, or lack thereof, the way he acts, really does not want to work to make America great again, and he wants to be president of the United States. That's the big secret in political circles. But like President Trump said yesterday in the Oval Office, you got Buttigieg, you got the one from Texas, you got all these goofballs, Crockett, and that's quite a lineup. And he just started laughing, and so did the the UK ambassador to the United States, Mr. Lord Peter Starmer. He was talking about that as well. So interesting stuff.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's shift over to one more name that I've heard from Bobby calling Joe Biden autopen, straight up, not even saying, you know, Sleepy Joe, Crooked Joe, or Joe Biden, or the last administration. In your commentary, you're just like, hey, when autopen was, you know, president, or autopen, and I found that comical. But interesting, taking a page out of President Trump's book in a way, too. I mean, sometimes it's, you know, it's fun to call people names. Jelly Belly, it is what it is, or autopen, because it's exactly what they are. These are people that are so anti we the people.
And it gets to the heart of the point where sometimes if you do that in jest, there's truth in comedy, right? So you're getting out a message, a mission in order to bring your point home. And that's why I think President Trump uses that as well. We hear it less and less now compared to the first term, but it definitely got him into the tabloids that first go around. Look what he did. You look 100 days into this, he knows now who the good people are and who the really the vipers are. And that sadly includes people like Mike Pence, who I think really betrayed him in the administration, among all these other people who sought 15 seconds of fame and were not truly part of the MAGA movement, Republican in name only, if you will. But that's what we talk about here on the network, Matthew. It's not so much Republican and Democrat. It's more we the people versus this globalist brand that is dying now, this seven-headed serpent that is just being recoiled into its tomb. And hopefully it stays there for forever.
Exactly. And it's great to be on the side of, as you mentioned at the end of your interview with the All Family Pharmacy pharmacist, thanks for joining us on the right side of history. I almost think that there should be a show called The Right Side of History or something like that, you know what I mean? Because that's really what this is all about. And speaking of All Family Pharmacy, you can get some ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. Is it methylene blue too, right?
Methylene blue as well, 200 other essential medications. And it's good to have that medicine cabinet stocked because we faced it this year. I was stuck in D.C. and you were stuck at the studio because of the ice storm that was here all the way down south in Auburn, Alabama, the loveliest village on the plains, but they have not seen ice like that in God knows when with that storm that came through. So whatever it might be, you might think you're safe, but it's good to be prepared. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, code RSBN10, get 10% off, and they have antibiotics as well. We interviewed the great David McCary, the pharmacist with the organization, and he just really detailed why do this versus just wait for your pharmacy down the street or maybe go to urgent care. Sometimes they can't take care of you in that moment. And it's good to have this. And I've dealt with it myself on a number of occasions where, it's out of stock. We won't get it for a while. And you're like, what? This is not good. I need this now. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And things like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, they're not easy just to go and get anywhere. Mm-hmm. So having this ability right there at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, use that RSBN10 promo code to get that 10% off. I remember my wife and I, we had COVID a couple of years back, and it was during Christmas. We didn't have ivermectin on hand. We just were caught off guard with it. This would have been great to have then.
Oh, it really would have been. And many people recovering very well with this on those early stages of it who had access to it. And that wasn't always the case, but we know with others that it wasn't the best route to go down, especially if you ended up in the hospital with that. But ivermectin really cures a lot of things, and it's been there for a long time. That's what David and I discussed back at that interview, is that this has been around forever, and it's been FDA approved. So all of a sudden that people were against it makes you question why Big Pharma was where they were on this topic.
Exactly. All right, so we're about, 50 minutes away from going to the White House there for this press briefing. Looking forward to that here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Staying in the vein, no pun intended, of health. Make America healthy again. I'll tell you, I said the other day that I'm going to try and lose 25 pounds by July 15th. And yesterday, I got pizza. That is not the route to go.
Oh, what kind of pizza though? Is it protein pizza, cauliflower?
No. It's straight up cheese and pepperoni. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I just said to everybody I'm working on losing 25 pounds. I'm being really transparent because this is the way it is. It's easy to speak, but you have to act on that. And I really know that health is very important. I really want to do this. So by July 15th, still, and my goal is there. I'm back to it today. I only started a couple of days ago with my family. So if you want to join me, I don't know if you need to lose 25 pounds. I know I do. I need to,
Well, I'm trying to gain muscle mass. So
same here.
We'll do this. I will join you in the gym.
Okay.
I will go and do more cardio as much as you want to.
Okay.
Because it is fun. There's a new spot that's opened just down the street in Auburn that is great for all the residents here locally to enjoy as well. I believe they have great deals for those who are locals as well. So always good to remain active and fit. And then you go back to the COVID times. In addition to All Family Pharmacy, really your health lies with you. So whether it's our sponsors with these great medications, antibiotics, gut health with Brightcore, it's also about going to church for your mental health. It's going to the gym, just to hang out with people, seeing people, social time, because that's what they took away from us during COVID. COVID, and that's why so many of us kind of were like, whoa, we realized how social we are. And for me, it was a nightmare, as much of an extrovert as I am. I know for the introverts, it was kind of a relief, and they didn't have to be around me a lot. But I mean, that's one of the reasons I left the Chicago area, because of the lockdowns. It was crazy, you know. And then I loved that line from President Trump last week in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, at the commencement, choosing liberty over lockdowns. And that's what it's about. And being on the right side of history and letting you make that choice ultimately.
It reminds me of the great state of South Dakota with Kristi Noem when she was governor. They didn't lock down there. They stayed free. And as a few other states out there did too. So it was great to see that. Yeah, a lot of great spots to work out wherever you are. Obviously here in Alabama, 20 to 25 different places you can work out, but it's great to be able to have options. But still, outside of that, the main thing for me is just the food consumption and the quantity, right? So we know the toxins in certain foods, the processed foods. We know what, I used to call it, and I still kind of call it this, it's just God's food, right? Fruit, vegetables, meat, that kind of thing.
Right.
And kind of stick to that and, watch your portions. We get all that. We've heard it a million times, but I'm actually living it now and going to have to live it, because I've said to my family and to those of you watching that care at all, try to lose that 25 pounds. You just have to. And then on top of that, more after that, not to stop there either.
Oh, right. And I have great recipes as well. So I could share with you, share on the network here.
Perfect.
Especially for things like pizza. I saw someone was chopping up, if you like onions, I know this will not be for everybody.
Not a big fan.
But the cheese base, and then you put the onions on top, mixed with all those toppings. There you go, you got pizza, but it's not necessarily all of the gluten, all of the carbs that come with it. So if you want to go more low carb route, all depends what you want to accomplish in the process. But yes, it's kind of, a lot of it's those micros, macros, and just sticking to it and mixing and fasting when you can. And yeah, it's also good. It's good to tie in with the church as well, because there is a biblical component to it. I know the Daniel fast is out there. Chris Pratt was big into that, the good actor there. So with all of that, if it's coming out of the earth, it's probably best for you. The more color, the better. The more raw, the better. But not as far as Liver King, although my family likes to call me Liver King. So
you like liver and onions and all that?
I love that stuff. There's very few things I will not eat, actually.
I will not. I don't want liver and onions. Okay. I don't want anchovies.
Right.
I'm not even really into, what is it, mussels and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's I love that stuff. But it's all about, fruits and vegetables, of course. High base protein in all those meals. And now we are a cooking show. So
and I was
we do here on the right side of history.
A number of people, I'm just trying to read your minds out there, but they're probably thinking, wait a minute, is this news? Is this politics? I think it is, because Make America Healthy Again is a huge part of this whole thing. I mean, I want to be more healthy. I want our country to be healthy. And we've been seeing with President Trump so many great exploits over the past 100 plus days now. So really looking forward to sharing with you a number of other videos that have been posted out there as we get ready for this press briefing in just a bit. And Robert, we know, of course, at the southern border, having our U.S. Army, our Marines, and so many great patriots there protecting us. It's awesome, isn't it?
Oh, yes. God bless them for doing so. And it's the Army Corps of Engineers. It's the Marines. It is those IRS agents. I think President Trump sent a few of those down there because we had so many thanks to the auto pen. But these people who are selflessly serving, and we get to see it week in and week out, especially with what we do and interacting, especially with Secret Service. It's nice that they have their morale back, and you see it in the excitement. Even President Trump meeting with Governor Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, seeing the National Guard. Just, they're smiling ear to ear, and we see recruitment numbers are up. And thank you to Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary, for listing all of the nonsense DEI woke stuff, including the transgender and men dressing up in dresses and acting like women. And he said, pardon my French here, we're done with that shit, just to quote him. And good for him. It's great to have a Pentagon chief who is at the forefront of leading this mighty force, meritocracy, battle ready to destroy the enemy. That's what the military is about.
Definitely is. And we're going to go to some videos from the Department of Defense in just a bit, but let's go to callsheet.com first. Callsheet.com/RSBN. You see some of the information there, the QR code right there. And Robert, science, technology, politics, sports, weather. There's so many things to trade or bet on.
Really anything you want, including, will egg prices continue to go down? So very simple questions. You could trade and bet on all of these big things. Kalshi is KALSHI.com/RSBN, or scan that QR code right under us. for all of those great deals and trades. And now that we're in the middle of, well, we have the Kentucky Derby, we have baseball all summer, but some other great sporting events, including that Indy 500 coming up over Memorial Day weekend. You can bet on all this through Kalshi, so a great spot to go. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history.
Exactly, and the Washington Capitals and the NHL and the playoffs ongoing as well. All right, so it's 12/18, Friday, May 9th. So on the 11th, this Sunday is Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to you, a few days early. But before Robert goes, because I know he's going to go visit your mom up north, we want to show you a video from the First Lady, Melania Trump, speaking about military moms just the other day at the White House. So as soon as we hear that video is ready, we'll go to it. I think it was just great to hear from her speak so authentically about just motherhood. It's great. I love my wife, I love my mom. It's just great to have people that are women in this world.
Amen. They are truly the people that keep us all together and prepare us to go out into the world and make a difference. And I think the First Lady, as she always does, eloquently, another slam dunk on her part.
Exactly. So before we do the full switch out, where I'll anchor or host or whatever you want to call it here, as we get ready to see the press briefing, Robert will exit stage left in a second. But before he does, we have a couple videos we want to play. And Director, if we could play the First Lady video from the White House, and then I would like to share with you the videos from the DOD. You're about to see some raw footage from the DOD right after Melania Trump, the great First Lady, speaks. So 3 videos in a row. Robert, have an awesome weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here Monday.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. And I rarely exit stage left. It's usually stage right, but you have a great weekend, and make sure you reach out to Mom, your wife, all your sisters, all of the ladies in your life that are moms, because without them, they are the nurturers, they are the life givers, and we are so blessed to have them with us on earth to help guide us and help with those phone calls. Even now, I need it. Even though I think I've had everything mostly figured out, I still rely on Mom for countless advice, and looking forward to spending time with her this weekend.
All right, Robert is going to exit stage right. Let's go to that video from the White House. We'll see you after a few videos, and then we'll get ready for that press briefing at the White House.
Welcome, and thank you very much for your kind words. Motherhood. The life-changing event that makes women invincible and exposed at the same time. It's remarkable, really, that my son's life creates unimaginable, unpredictable concerns and thrills for me, even until this day. All caring mothers understand this rare feeling. Nothing against fathers, of course. But in my opinion, and I'm sure everyone in this room agrees, only a mother can grasp this particular point. Military mothers and America, together, have developed an extraordinary parallel journey. They are filled with stories of personal sacrifice, determination, loss, and healing. Certainly, only military mothers have experienced this level of grace and resilience of American life. And finally, aging. A sudden shift in family dynamics. An unexpected positioning change in life when caretakers become the caregivers. If this has happened within your family, you understand the precious nature of motherhood. Here now, in the White House, at this pivotal moment, I urge you to prioritize your well-being, nurture yourself, for your strength is the bedrock of a brighter future for our children. By caring for ourselves, we empower the next generation to thrive. Together, let's build a legacy of resilience and hope. Your journey matters. Embrace it. And indeed, the sacred strength of women is a profound force. With unwavering love and nurturing wisdom, we have the ability to inspire, uplift, and shape the future hearts of our children. This power, rooted in compassion and resilience, is a beacon of hope, that lights the way for generations to come. Let us unite to honor the beauty of motherhood, champion the grace of our journey, and inspire those who follow. A mother's love and wisdom empower our children to flourish, instilling in them the courage to reach their full potential. Motherhood. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
You said what?
The big one, 53 over there?
Yeah.
I can raise the face.
All right, approaching the bottom of the hour here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You see 1227, getting ready for what a great way to end the week, a press conference with the great Karoline Leavitt, who is on the right side of history, who knows how to handle the fake news press. But also it's great, isn't it, that the conservative media has a presence in that room. And on top of that, outside of the traditional press briefing, which you'll see today, there are new media press briefings at the White House on occasion. because I think there's just so much media out there that's new media. There's a lot of conservative media. There's a lot of podcasts, a lot of influencers who are using their gifts and talent, whether it's literally interviewing people on the street and putting together great videos or really informative videos. And we have, people like, OMG with James O'Keefe, or Nick Shirley's out there kicking butt. I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing great things. Laura Loomer's out there being on all these shows. There's just a lot of things going on throughout conservative media, podcasts. Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, they're all doing great. And it's awesome to watch and see that the fact of the conservative media uprising that's happening to replace the 95% of the old guard. Just like the corruption in various departments through Doge exploiting all of the expenditures that were a bunch of junk, or basically cleaning house, but cleaning the corruption out. That is what the conservative media indirectly is doing, is just giving everyone else an option throughout this country that if you do not want to hear lies from the left any longer, you have the opportunity to watch conservative media, specifically Right Side Broadcasting Network and others out there as we continue to build and grow. And I was thinking about it the other day, sometimes you look at the lamestream media and you see that they have all these lights and cameras and all these backdrops and all this huge budget paid for by woke corporations and just all of that going on. And then you look at conservative media and we're growing in various ways. There's a lot of different things that are happening and the quality is going higher and higher and higher. But I thought about it, I said, well, it takes a minute to grow, right? How about a sequoia or a redwood out there in California? It wasn't overnight that thing grew to what it is today. So it's just interesting, the infancy stage, but also the next stages of conservative media as when President Trump is no longer in office in the future, when we have to really rely on the truth out there instead of the lies of the left. You're going to have a place that you trust. And this is not just saying because I work in conservative media. I literally, me personally, and my family, we're going to want to watch things that resonate with truth because that is a voice for we the people. Like, it is a huge importance to have this happening, especially in the face of anyone trying to tear this country down. A shout out to the New Yorker, by the way, who went up to Tish James at the one event the other day. It was in front of a number of people, and it was a Q&A question thing, and he went up there. It's a video that's trending out there, and asked if the taxpayer money against President Trump and the lawfare situation, if that was going to be repaid, and also went on about her mortgage situation. A shout out to that guy. I mean, at the end of the day, he did it in front of a number of people. That takes a lot of you-know-what to do something like that. But sometimes it takes these kind of things, because it represents the majority of the country. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the DOJ and the FBI continue to do what they're doing, but also to see the step up of the justice being served for those that have committed crimes, especially over the past 4 years. I believe I just read that there is either a task force or Ed Martin, I believe, is going to be a part of a task force that is going to look into all that lawfare from the past 4 years. So we're watching all of this happen. We're literally each day watching the reform of America before our eyes. Isn't it wild to watch? The cabinet meeting the other day, I'm still surprised that happened, where when you think of a cabinet meeting with high levels of government inside the White House with every department, usually what's happened over the decades of reporting and media is the cameras will have access only before or after a meeting where the reporters can ask questions to the president and maybe some cabinet leaders at that time. But what happened this past time was President Trump, with that truth and transparency, that historic truth and transparency, that unprecedented way he's handling everything, which is all positive and all good, he allowed, as you guys know, all of us, the media, to be, whether they're left-wing, lamestream media or conservative media on the right side of history, we had access to the entire cabinet meeting. Every department head spoke around that table. That's just something you don't get to see very often because President Trump's not trying to hide anything from the American people. He wouldn't have gone through what he did over the past 4 years if he was just some establishment paid off person. He is someone that, as you guys know, an outsider that stood there for us, we the people, over the past 4 years, and of course his prior administration, and now putting the right people in the right places to take care of our country. So, and we're covering it here at Right Side. So let's go to one of the sponsors, angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. Of course, you see that information there on your screen. Angelpaste.com. You can use that RSBN promo code. You'll get a percentage off. I went to the website yesterday just to double check all the different products, and you can do that too by going to angelpaste.com and use the RSBN promo code. Great sponsor, great company, and a great partner here at RSBN. As you're watching RSBN Live, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for tuning in, streaming in. It's Friday, May 9th. Let's go again to some of the videos that we played just moments ago from the Department of Defense. We'll play them one at a time and break down what we're seeing in the video. So the first one I'd like to go to is you're going to see an Army Stryker vehicle right at the southern border. I believe this one is in New Mexico. I have to double check. It's either New Mexico or Texas, but still at the end of the day, it's the southern border. And so the Army Stryker vehicle is sitting there, and then 2 U.S. Customs Border Protection agents are riding ATVs. They come up, they chat with each other, and they go on. And basically what you're going to see here is not a bunch of frills and music and sound bites and all this flash, which, by the way, I like all that stuff because it's entertaining, keeps you hooked. But just seeing the raw video from the Department of Defense in this way is just refreshing, because we're getting access to videos showing what President Trump said along the southern border, that it was a national emergency and that he ordered military to be there. And so to see the Customs Border Protection agents pull up to the United States Army, it's basically a handshake in a way. Let's take a look.
But I can raise the face for you guys if you want.
You said what?
The big old 53 over there?
Yeah.
I can raise the face.
All right, so that second part of the video there was the U.S. Army working with radar detection. I recently learned that drones are being used by the cartel to bring over narcotics and to do their illegal activities. I did not know that. I don't know if you did, but when I found that out the other day, when I was at the Eisenhower Executive Office building interviewing one of the top officials within ICE and immigration, he said that there are drones and there are these unmanned aircraft that are being used across our border by the cartels. So now it makes sense when you see the U.S. Army there using those mobile radar detection equipment vehicles to detect any of that kind of equipment. So all sorts of things happening there on the ground, in the air, in the sea as well, in the Pacific Ocean, all the way around to the Gulf of America and on the Atlantic coast with the Coast Guard and the Navy intercepting alien vessels when it comes to people that are illegal immigrants that are trying to get into America, but they're also, in most cases, trying to bring in tons of narcotics And then we would see those videos recently with Kristi Noem and Kash Patel at various events, especially in Florida, saying, hey, all of these narcotics behind us are X amount of dollars, in some cases $5 billion worth of narcotics and that kind of thing. So, we see our country really, really revving to go. We know that it takes a minute to really get into that pocket, into that really good flow. And we're seeing that. We saw that since day one with President Trump. But, there's a lot of departments out there. There's a lot of cabinet positions. There's a lot of work to be done. And we're seeing that reformation process happen. And then we want to protect it by two ways I believe we can protect it. One, we win the midterms in 2026. And two, the law and order and the specific Department of Justice and FBI, they take care of serving justice, justice being served to those that are in hiding now. You think about Jack Smith and Merrick Garland and all them, where are they? These are the guys that were trying to take down our country. And then we had our president not only deal with verbal assaults, he had his physical assault, of course, a terrible situation in Butler, Pennsylvania, and then in Florida, again, at the golf course. You got to remember, it's not just President Trump, it's anybody that is on the right side of history. So right now we're in power, it feels good, and we're growing and reforming. But we want 28 and 29, I'm talking the years 28 and 29 and into the future, to be safe still in America. This is wonderful for these 4 years and all of the great exploits we're about to see from President Trump. And he's just getting started. I mean, you can't play Monday morning quarterback, right? I'm just kind of, we're in the middle of it in real time. As you take a live look there, 3 vantage points in Washington, the White House, the Capitol, and that on the top left is a stakeout location at the White House as well. The row of green there on the left, that's where the media usually does their stand-ups when they're live, with the White House in the background, which is to the right of that vantage point. But anyway, back to what I was saying, we still have to keep that winning going. We know we are winning, but let's go full on, pedal to the metal, no stopping, because we know what the other side is capable of. We know that they're in disarray. We know that they lost. We know that the majority of the country is for freedom. And the people of the free world around the whole globe that love freedom, love a place like America, love President Trump. Let's not get it twisted on the left-wing media when they're just lying about everything. So anyway, and that is the position that is great as well, because I remember Stephen Miller a couple weeks back stood there, and I know Karoline Leavitt has recently been there, Mr. Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, and others. And that's a great spot to kind of go and talk to the media. And Stephen Miller just crushed it against these fake news questions that are based in anything other than truth. And that was when I saw Stephen, because we've seen Stephen Miller at these various events over the campaign season when he would come up on stage. And every time I saw him, he'd be just so on point. It reminds me of a number of other people, like Alina Habba, how she's straight up on point, but can speak in such a way. Well, Stephen Miller has that. He's awesome, right? So I saw him speak there, and then I said, this guy's a national treasure. At the end of the day, he is someone that we can really rely on in our country. And then we saw him on stage recently in Warren, Michigan with the president. Then we saw him at the press briefing with Karoline Leavitt. So that's just one person out of a whole lot of people that are on the right side of history. It's awesome to see it. Great communicators, people that are really in it for the right reasons. And that's unprecedented. It's pretty awesome to cover something like that. And that's why, you see myself, Robert McNeely, and others at the network. When we talk like this, it's because we see these great things happening in this country. And in many times, we're echoing what you're saying, especially those of you that voted for President Trump. So we're just going to keep covering the country, covering Washington, D.C., and specifically the reform of America, where Elon Musk said a while ago on X, he said, the majority of the country voted for the reform of America, right? So that's really what we're kind of watching together. And also all the friendships and connectivity and the community that we have on the right side of history. And we hope and pray that people on the left will wake up and get out of that mainstream media propaganda junk that they were indoctrinated with, and get the detox from that out of their minds so they can, again, come on over and join us, because we're not just doing this for our health only. We're doing this for our freedom and for our families and our future families here in this country. So anyway, win the midterms and continue to keep on winning. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're covering here in Washington, D.C., as you see on the screen, and here in Alabama and throughout the country. We will always remember one thing, and then I'll move on with some of the news we're about to cover. The one thing we'll always remember here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, from 2015 until this summer is going to be 10 years of existence for RSBN and on into the future. And I joined September 2022, but I knew about Right Side. And here's the point. Before we go to one of our sponsors, I just want to say, it's all of those moments that were out there with We the People before the events, at the venues, that we would connect with you, we'd interview you, you'd talk to us about your thoughts about the president, President Trump, and our country, the way it's going, and just to really have that hyper focus of We the People. And it will never, ever be lost at this network, or I believe in conservative media, as long as people are doing it for the right reasons, just like President Trump, like he went through what he went through and he's still going for it. We know that's legit. We know this guy's on the right path, and that's why he won. That's why we support him. But the people in conservative media, we're all in this spot doing it for the right reasons, because at the end of the day, using your gifts, your talents, whether it's in podcasting and radio and TV, whatever it is, for one major thing, keeping freedom as our policy, keeping freedom for the people of this country. It really is about freedom. I mean, that's why that Gadsden flag says, "Don't tread on us." That's really what it's about, but also God, family, freedom here in this country. So anyway, 12:45, it's actually 10:45, I believe, out there, Mountain Time Zone. 12:45, Friday, May 9th. Let's go to Brightcore, one of our sponsors here at the network. Great sponsor, 888-722-0936 is that number. And it's a probiotic. It's good for gut health, immune support, anti-aging properties. And Kimchi One is the bottle. It's the product that you'll get through the mail. And also, you'll get a sizable percentage off if you just use the RSBN promo code. So 25% off. mybrightcore.com/RSBN is the website. You can also call 888-722-0936. All right, 12:45, Friday, May 9th. Looking forward to this press conference coming up in about 15 minutes from now. Also, later today, the president will be signing some executive orders at about 4 o'clock inside the Oval Office as the rain comes down there in Washington, D.C. So that will be uploaded to Rumble and various social media platforms. You can take a look at any executive orders that the president signs a bit later today. We'll have that for you. Also, of course, Mother's Day coming up on Sunday. We'll replay the First Lady Melania Trump talking about military mothers at the White House just the other day. It was great to hear what she had to say about the moms in our country, specifically military moms. But to all of the moms out there, thank you for what you do. Grandmas, everybody, my wife, thank you. And it's just awesome to give that shout out, because we know that without them, we wouldn't all be here. So let's take a look at that video from the White House with the First Lady, Melania Trump. Take a look.
Welcome, and thank you very much for your kind words. Motherhood. The life-changing event that makes women invincible and exposed at the same time. It's remarkable, really, that my son's life creates unimaginable, unpredictable concerns and thrills for me, even until this day. All caring mothers understand this rare feeling. Nothing against fathers, of course. But in my opinion, and I'm sure everyone in this room agrees, only a mother can grasp this particular point. Military mothers and America, together, have developed an extraordinary parallel journey. They are filled with stories of personal sacrifice, determination, loss, and healing. Certainly, only military mothers have experienced this level of grace and resilience of American life. And finally, aging. a sudden shift in family dynamics, an unexpected positioning change in life when caretakers become the caregivers. If this has happened within your family, you understand the precious nature of motherhood. Here now, in the White House, at this pivotal moment, I urge you to prioritize your well-being, nurture yourself, for your strength is the bedrock of a brighter future for our children. By caring for ourselves, we empower the next generation to thrive. Together, let's build a legacy of resilience and hope. Your journey matters. Embrace it. And indeed, the sacred strength of women is a profound force. With unwavering love and nurturing wisdom, we have the ability to inspire, uplift, and shape the future hearts of our children. This power, rooted in compassion and resilience, is a beacon of hope that lights the way for generations to come. Let us unite to honor the beauty of motherhood, champion the grace of our journey, and inspire those who follow. A mother's love and wisdom empower our children to flourish, instilling in them the courage to reach their full potential. Motherhood. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Absolutely beautiful and eloquent words by our First Lady at the White House just yesterday. Great to hear the words that she spoke there. Awesome to play that clip, as again, we are about 48 hours away from Mother's Day here in the United States. Also, we know that President Trump and our country and the UK just had this great trade deal that happened. We're going to go to that recap in just a second. We'll also play a little bit later some of the comments from the president about the new pope that was just announced. So we'll go to that in just a bit. But before we do, we have about 10 minutes until the start of the press briefing there at the White House. Looking forward to going to that live. We'll have it for you in its entirety right here on RSBN Live. Thanks so much for streaming in. If you'd like to donate to the network at all, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. So just text RSBN to 801-801. Every dollar counts. Every dollar goes toward specifically conservative media, including obviously us. And it is all about the expenses that are taken care of for this network as we continue to grow. And for freedom. I mean, all of these things that we talk about here and we cover in order to keep the lights on, and I know that's a cheesy way of saying it, but it's still true. You know, if there's at least $1 or anything you can give to this network, as it's not, we don't charge you to watch, you know, so we definitely provide this as a free service. But thanks be to God for the great sponsors that we have. Also the loyalty and the history of this network since 2015, growing to what it is today and beyond. But also to you, if you do have an extra buck or two, great. If you don't, not yet, all good. But still, if you'd like, RSBN, you can just text RSBN to 801-801, as the money will go toward everything you see here and everything you see coming up when it comes to that live feed to the White House as well. So texting RSBN to 801-801. All right, also, let's go to the recap from the United Kingdom and our country, the United States, just yesterday from that great, huge announcement for that trade deal as President Trump continues to tear down the globalist way of things when it comes to how our country is run, specifically with around the world. Take a look.
This morning, I'm thrilled to announce that we have reached a breakthrough trade deal with the United Kingdom. It is a very special day because it's Victory Day, World War II, May 8th. This is incredible that that day is the same day that we signed a tremendous trade deal for both countries. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade between our two countries will soon be stronger than ever before.
With this President, this Prime Minister, we've managed to achieve what many people have tried to achieve for many years. It feels completely historic.
You've done what you said you would do. You said to the Prime Minister that you would do a good trade deal with the United Kingdom, that you would do it at pace, and that we would be first. And you have delivered that. You know, you've been true to your word. So thank you very much.
Everyone getting ready for this Friday press briefing, which will start in about 7 minutes from now. Karoline Leavitt will be at that podium. Looking forward to going there live momentarily. Before we continue on here, Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN is the place to go when it comes to gold and silver, and a free info kit you can get right there in the mail. You can go to the QR code if you'd like, or just go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Everything 100% tax-free, your 401k backup, your tax-sheltered IRA, all because at the end of the day, what we're hearing is that China, of course, is dumping U.S. bonds, grabbing prime American farmland, rolling out its new digital currency. But President Trump is genius because, of course, he's letting retirement savers like you protect your life savings with gold 100% tax-free. So it's the one inflation-proof asset that survived the fall of any currency. Even as Maganomics will increase, even though things are getting better and better in our country, having gold and silver as a backup plan with your retirement, with your savings, you can get that through Colonial Metals Group. Shield your savings now. QR code's right there, freegoldguide.com/RSBN, as we are 6 minutes away from this great press conference. I always say great because it is great, because we have someone in Karoline Leavitt who really stands up for this country and for the truth and for common sense, and it is so refreshing to have someone there that is on the right side of history. And many of us at Right Side Broadcasting Network, while Karoline, prior to the administration, was on the campaign trail, she was interviewed live or recorded interviews, and we've aired them right here on Right Side. And to know that that person that we worked with in the sense of just covering campaigns, the fact that now she is at that national spotlight there. You know, a lot of times various people want to be in a national spotlight. That's great. But at the end of the day, and I know I keep saying at the end of the day, I'll try and stop doing that. What people want, though, is someone that is doing it for the right reasons. So if someone becomes famous, if you're doing things for the right reasons and you're doing the right thing, that's great. Who cares? Because that's what Karoline's doing. She's just doing awesome there. So we're looking forward to seeing this live briefing here in just about 5 minutes from now as we look ahead. May 12th through the 16th, President Trump will travel to 3 countries in the Middle East: Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Also, May 24th, the president will speak at West Point in New York to the Army. He'll be delivering another commencement address. On June 14th, Flag Day, just next month, President Trump's birthday, but also, and very importantly, the 250th celebration for the United States Army, a huge parade to happen in Virginia and in Washington, D.C. Plans for the parade call for about 6,600 soldiers, 150 vehicles, 50 helicopters. They're going to follow a route from Arlington, Virginia to the National Mall starting at the Pentagon, and then fireworks will follow. So that's June 14th. That's a Saturday. You can count on us for coverage for that as well, including that huge trip to the Middle East. That is something, you know, for him to go to Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. And on top of all of that, the president's saying that there's going to be a huge or a big announcement to follow. So we'll see when that announcement happens. I believe it will happen next week. We'll see what the details are. We'll share that with you as we get it. Let's take a quick look right now as we approach the top of the hour at Truth Social. President Trump's latest post talking about Stephanie Ruhle over at MSDNC. I just watched an exhausted, highly neurotic Stephanie Ruhle spew lies about tariffs, as do many others, in order not to give me the victory that they all see coming. Few people know Stephanie Ruhle, but I do, the president says, and she doesn't have what it takes. Our deal with the United Kingdom yesterday was amazing for both countries, and in addition to everything else, British Airways just ordered $10 billion worth of new Boeing planes. We're going to make a fortune with tariffs. Only smart people understand that. And Stephanie was never known as a high IQ person. I got to stop. I'll read this. I'll continue. But President Trump, man, Does he not hold? He never holds back. This guy just rips it, goes for it, and has not stopped. He did that in 2015, 2016. I mean, think about when he'd be at these debates. He is the GOAT of political debates. You know, if you watch those compilations of President Trump and all of him talking about, you know, at various debates, just shutting people down, whether it's the moderator, fake news moderators in most cases, or the other people he's running against or whatever, he just doesn't stop. So let me continue this and then we'll move on from it. But I just can't get over it sometimes. All right, so he says that Stephanie was never known as a high IQ person. MSDNC has become the voice of the Democrat Party, and they should be treated as a political advocate with all of the taxes and penalties therefrom. Their ratings are terrible, but Brian Roberts and his crew should be forced to tell the truth. Make America great again. So President Trump going after the liars over there on the left-wing media. There's some other ones here so many other posts there about MSNBC. I see one other post I'll just do briefly before we get there to the White House. President Trump said about 3 hours ago, costs down, no inflation. Very different from what the Fed and the fake news media were hoping for. So there you go with the president saying also many trade deals in the hopper, all good, and in quotes or in parentheses, great ones. So many trade deals in the hopper, all good or great ones. All right, speaking of the president, as we approach that top of the hour mark here on Right Side, let's go to his comments about the Pope just from yesterday. Take a look.
And, I mean, what greater honor could there be? And we were a little bit surprised, very happy. It's just a great, absolutely great honor.
Is this the first of many, Mr. President, the first of many trade agreements we can expect you to announce here at the White House?
Say it again.
Is this the first of many trade agreements?
You got to move it to full camera.
Here at the White
No,
House?
we'll do others for the White House. We're working on 3 of them right now, trade agreements. We're doing 3. And we just left Tiger. You saw Tiger. He's fantastic, great champion, great guy. And but you know we'll be doing a lot of the signings. They would like to do them in the Oval Office.
Mr. President, are you sure that the UK will take American chlorinated chicken? That deal has not been done yet.
What is that?
Are you sure that the UK will take American chlorinated chicken? That deal has not been done yet.
We're changing all of that, but we have it both ways. You know, we have it both ways.
Mr. President,
are you still going to make an earth-shattering announcement?
We'll have somebody great. We'll have somebody great. I really thought he was terrific, but we are doing so many different things right now that we couldn't be really focused on it. He's a wonderful guy. He's going to have a great future, maybe with us.
Who are you guys on it?
What's next?
Mr. President, are you planning to meet the Pope in the near future?
Mr. President,
They've already called. When is that? Do you have a timing in mind?
They have already spoken to us, and we'll see what happens. But again, to have the Pope from the United States of America, that's a great honor. That's a great honor.
Sir, have you met before? Sir, have you?
I'm watching, and they said he's from America. I said that's great.
Are you going to
Jack it up all the way.
Have you met it before?
Vladimir Putin and Saudi Arabia next week?
I don't think so, but we're having very good conversations. Very, very good.
The violence in India and Pakistan, Mr. President, is that going to derail your country?
Any thought of whether or not there's temptations to El Salvador and that they could be foreign terrorists?
I haven't heard of that.
But you didn't designate this.
I mean, I haven't heard of it. Actually, I hope not. Thank you.
Mr. President, violence in India and Pakistan, is that going to derail your trade deal?
Pretty famous people in the past 20 years of my career. That's part of what you do when you work in journalism, right? I remember meeting George W. Bush, Barack Obama, all these people, right? I was able to be near President Trump and asked him a question over the campaign season when he was going to an event in New Hampshire, and rode in the motorcade and all that stuff. I've been around all these, really famous people. And the only reason why I say that is because all you have to do is raise your hand and not yell at the person. I mean, if I was the president and everybody's yelling at me, how am I going to hear what anybody's saying? So if I ever get the chance again to be around President Trump or anybody within the administration or in general, just like I was at the Eisenhower Executive Office building just a couple of weeks back, interviewed a few people. But it wasn't in a press gaggle situation. I don't know about you, but to hear them screaming, just go like this. He sees you, and he'll either pick on you or he won't. Your screaming won't do any different. And I don't know. That's my personal opinion. I'm not always right, but I think I'm right about that one. Anyway, so it's 1:03, Friday, May 9th, getting ready to see Karoline Leavitt here. And that's the way they do it pretty much there at the press briefing. They raise their hand and then she picks on you, and that kind of thing. So it's a little bit more easy to understand and just raise your hand. Not a big deal. All right, so the other thing is All Family Pharmacy is one of our great sponsors here at the network. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You'll get ivermectin, you'll get methylene blue or hydroxychloroquine, things that are just not as easy to get a hold of. I wish I had this website in my back pocket a couple of years back. My wife and I, during Christmas, we had to miss Christmas. It was just us together, which isn't terrible. I love it, but we both had COVID. If I had ivermectin or if I had something right before I felt something like that coming on, I would have loved to have this website months before and ordered all of this stuff that I'm about to talk to you about. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Imagine, again, needing a medication and being told you can't have it, not because it's out of stock, but because someone decided you shouldn't have access. As you know, it's already happened and it could happen again. So they have ivermectin, they have methylene blue, along with, get this, more than 200 essential medications to keep your home stocked and your family ready. They also have antibiotics. So all you have to do is order online. Their doctors handle the prescription, and your medications get shipped right to your door, even overnight. You'll still fill out some medical online paperwork. No insurance, no hassle, just peace of mind. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. A proud sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's great to be able to make America healthy again, even when it comes to getting the right kinds of prescriptions to make you feel better. All right, so 1:05, Friday, May 9th, we're looking live, and everyone, of course, seated, ready to go. So it looks like what's happening now is the team's getting ready to come out there to the podium. Of course, Karoline, always with her team, they pray right before they come out, and she goes out there and is an absolute rock star, as you guys know, when she delivers any latest news from the president. And then we'll take on any questions, and we'll have that for you here as we are just 6 minutes after the 1 o'clock hour. Happy Friday to you. It's Friday, May 9th, and happy Mother's Day to everyone out there that are moms, and that's on the 11th. So looking forward to buying a Happy Mother's Day mug for actually my wife, because we have a 7-month-old baby. So it'll be nice to do that and get that taken care of maybe after work today. So anyway, enough about me. Let's get back to the White House here. We're going to know soon what Karoline Leavitt is going to break down for us on this Friday, May 9th. Now this is, just a few days from a very, very massive trip for President Trump. So next week, we will not see the president at the White House at all. He is leaving on the 12th, and throughout the week to that 16th, will be in the Middle East. He will be in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. On top of that, will be sharing with us this big announcement he's talking about. We talked about it last week a little bit, or actually earlier this week, and did not get into many specifics. So we'll see what that announcement would be. Would it have to do with Israel as well? Maybe increasing the Abraham Accords to more nations? We'll see. So we'll stay tuned to Right Side. We will have coverage all week next week, including video feeds live and recorded from the Middle East. So we will still, even though he's not in our country and he's somewhere else, here at Right Side, you can count on us for all of those press conference, all of those, when he's shaking hands with people, any agreements, anything that happens, we will have it covered for you here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is RSBN Live. We go live wall to wall when it comes to all of these events. We don't really follow a number of scripts that are written by some fake news producer, but we do have some great people that work on camera, but behind the scenes here at the network, continuing to expand our America First news coverage and unprecedented coverage in a way, because we're covering an unprecedented White House and President Trump and this White House press briefing. So let's get ready to go there as of right now. Why don't we go to the White House press briefing room, as I believe Karoline Leavitt will be stepping out any second from now. All right, getting ready there for Karoline Leavitt any second now. Also, Kelly Loeffler, the director of the Small Business Administration, posting 18 minutes ago on X saying, quote, "Two things have stood out from my travels over the last week. The incredible resilience of our small businesses who are still reeling from 4 years of failed Biden policies. And number two, the overwhelming optimism they now have thanks to President Trump." That from the Small Business Administrator, Kelly Loeffler. Also, Farmers First Friday. So Secretary Brooke Rollins of Ag said Farmers First Friday kicks off today. So this was a post from about an hour ago. She said, "Each Friday we will spotlight the backbone of America, our farmers, ranchers, and producers. Their passion, grit, and dedication keep us fed and thriving. Stay tuned for inspiring stories from the fields." Hashtag Farmers First Friday. That from Secretary Brooke Rollins. Also, First Lady Melania Trump secures $25 million investment in President's fiscal year 26, a budget for foster youth. So great move there as the First Lady secures $25 million in the President's fiscal year 2026 budget for foster youth. That is a post that is out there as well. So just a couple news items that we were following there for you. Also, we're seeing that from Leading Report that Senator Josh Hawley is demanding a vote on the reintroduced Pelosi Act, which would ban members of Congress and their family members from trading or holding stocks. That from Senator Josh Hawley. Also looking at other specifics right now when it comes to Special Envoy Steve Witkoff speaking about Secretary Rubio, saying, "We have a real friendship, a deep friendship. I might talk to the Secretary of State 5 to 7 times a day. There's no daylight between us, and we're both very, very similar in our policy approach." That from the Rapid Response 47 on X, and that from the Department of State, also reposting that. Words that are highlighted from a Breitbart interview I'm seeing here on X. So as we continue to monitor the news, we will definitely go to the news briefing that's about to happen there in Washington. It's 1/12, Friday, May 9th. We'll be there live for the entirety of this press conference. On top of that, we do know that at 4 o'clock Eastern, there will be a recorded executive office signing or executive orders signing at the Oval Office. We'll upload that on Rumble and other social platforms so you can take a look there. As you see, some of the people on the left have their cameras up. They may have just received that 2-minute warning. So as soon as we see that door, and there it is, let's go to Karoline Leavitt live in Washington.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see all of you. Happy Friday. The President looks forward to embarking on his historic return to the Middle East, visiting Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates next week, where he will focus on strengthening ties between our nations. 8 years ago, President Trump's first trip was to this same region of the world, where he introduced his bold peace through strength foreign policy strategy. On that trip, the President laid out his goal of eradicating terrorism and extremism in the region, which he successfully accomplished over the course of his administration with the total defeat of ISIS and the historic signing of the Abraham Accords. Now, 8 years later, President Trump will return to re-emphasize his continued vision for a proud, prosperous, and successful Middle East, where the United States and Middle Eastern nations are in cooperative relationships, and where extremism is defeated in place of commerce and cultural exchanges. This trip ultimately highlights how we stand on the brink of the golden age for both America and the Middle East, united by a shared vision of stability, opportunity, and mutual respect. The President greatly looks forward to visiting with our brave men and women in uniform at our U.S. Air Base in Qatar throughout this trip. Yesterday, President Trump demonstrated the art of the deal and secured a historic trade agreement, despite all of the naysayers who said no deals were coming. That, of course, turned out to be untrue. On the 80th anniversary of Victory Day for World War II, President Trump announced a great deal that provides American companies unprecedented access to the UK markets while bolstering U.S. national security. This trade deal will massively expand U.S. market access in the United Kingdom, creating a $5 billion opportunity for new exports for U.S. farmers, ranchers, and producers. This includes more than $700 billion in ethanol exports and $250 million in other agricultural products like good old American beef. The deal commits the United States and United Kingdom to work together to enhance industrial and agricultural market access and strengthens American competitiveness. Importantly, the deal also ensures streamlined customs procedures for U.S. exports. The UK will also be purchasing $10 billion of American-made Boeing planes as part of the deal. A trade agreement like this between the United States and the United Kingdom was being worked on for many years but continued to prove elusive. But because of President Trump's bold negotiating approach, he got it done. All of this happened because of President Trump's implementation of powerful tariffs to end the era of economic surrender and rebalance America's trading agreements. American workers and companies are the best in the world, and they finally have a president who has their backs, fights for them, and delivers good deals that puts them first. This is just the first of many trade deals to come. Get ready for more historic deals and our country to boom like never before. On that note, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Ambassador Jameson Greer will meet with the lead representatives on economic matters from the People's Republic of China over the weekend in Switzerland. As President Trump has said, the United States and China have been talking for some time over the course of the administration, and now teams from both countries will meet in person to continue discussions. You can be certain that President Trump and his trade team will ensure we work to achieve the best deal possible for America. In other news, the Trump administration just announced a new incentive for illegal aliens living in the United States to self-deport. Eligible illegal aliens who now use the CBP Home app to self-deport will receive a clear, safe way to leave the United States. Their plane tickets home may be paid for, and they will receive a $1,000 stipend once we have confirmation that they have left our country. This new feature will allow illegal aliens to have a planned departure out of the country and to leave as soon as possible in a dignified way. If illegal aliens make the right decision here and submit their intent to depart through the CBP Home app and pass extensive vetting, they will be temporarily deprioritized for ICE detention and enforcement action before their scheduled departure. And leaving voluntarily in this matter may improve their legal immigration options in the future. This initiative will also save massive amounts of money for American taxpayers. Voluntary departures are much more cost-effective than traditional removals. By deploying the CBP Home app in this new way, President Trump is aiming to reduce the need for costly arrests, detentions, and court proceedings. Currently, the average cost of traditional removal is more than $17,000 per illegal alien. Our projections estimate that the use of the CBP Home app will massively reduce that financial burden by approximately 70%. So taxpayer dollars can be redirected and our brave immigration law enforcement officers can focus on removing the most violent illegal aliens hiding in our communities. Finally, it was announced this morning that First Lady Melania Trump secured a $25 million investment in President Trump's budget to provide housing and support for youth transitioning out of foster care. And in recognition of the 7th anniversary of Mrs. Trump's Be Best initiative, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development allocated funds toward the agency Foster Youth to Independence program. Yesterday, Mrs. Trump hosted a special celebration of military mothers with the president, bringing together 150 military moms from around the country to recognize their service, not just in their home, but for our country. For those of you who were there at the events yesterday like I did, I have no doubt you will join me in recognizing how truly special those moments were. So let's get to questions. Here in our new media seat today is Andrew Egger, the White House correspondent for The Bulwark. The Bulwark is a new media company launched in 2019 with hundreds of thousands of readers on Substack and more than 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Andrew, please kick us off. And thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Caroline. The president posted another ad this week for his Trump meme coin. The group that's running that coin is encouraging people to buy in order to win a dinner this month with the president. Why is the president planning to attend a dinner for the top investors in this coin?
Look, the president is abiding by all conflict of interest laws. The president has been incredibly transparent with his own personal financial obligation throughout the years. The president is a successful businessman, and I think, frankly, it's one of the many reasons that people reelected him back to this office.
There are at least some people who are buying this coin who seem to view it as an opportunity to influence the president's views. There was a logistics company this week that said they would buy $20 million in the coin in order to advocate for free trade between the U.S. and Mexico. If buyers are buying for that reason, are they wasting their money?
Look, I can assure you the president acts with only the interests of the American public in mind, putting our country first and doing what's best for our country, full stop. That's his intention, and that's what he's focused on. Kristen, good to see you here today. Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back. So on those China talks, what does President Trump expect to come out of those talks? And is he going to be disappointed if his team can't secure a deal?
Well, look, the president is very confident in his Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, and, of course, Ambassador Jamieson Greer, who has played an instrumental role in all of these trade negotiations as well. I think yesterday's success, the announcement of a trade deal with the United Kingdom, is a great first step. Again, many said in this room it couldn't be done. Now we are moving forward with many other countries. We're talking to dozens of our trading partners around the world. But, of course, China is a major country, a major player in this space. And the president has said, and he's right, that China needs the United States of America. They need our markets. They need our consumer base. And Secretary Bessent knows that he's going to Switzerland this weekend with the full support and confidence and trust of the president here at home. Jack?
Thanks very much, Caroline. Two questions. First, can you give us an update on U.S. efforts to mediate or have an impact on the conflict between India and Pakistan?
Sure, I absolutely can. This is something that the Secretary of State and, of course, now our National Security Advisor as well, Marco Rubio, has been very much involved in. The president has expressed he wants to see this de-escalate as quickly as possible. He understands these are two countries that have been at odds with one another for decades, long before President Trump was here in the Oval Office. However, he has good relationships with the leaders of both countries, and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, I spoke to him just yesterday. He has been in constant communication with the leaders of both countries trying to bring this conflict to an end.
Just one other question. Yesterday, we saw the news of the new Pope. Before Pope Leo became Pope Leo, there were some critical comments that he made about President Trump and about Vice President Vance on his then X account. Does the White House have any reaction to those comments?
The president made his reaction to Pope Leo's announcement yesterday very clear. He is very proud to have an American Pope. I think it was a surprise to everyone. I saw the news media was surprised to report on that yesterday, but it's a great thing for the United States of America and for the world, and we are praying for him.
Thanks, Caroline. The president has been pretty firm on keeping these 145% tariffs in place on Chinese imports. Today, via Truth Social, he said that he'd be possibly open to lowering those to 80%. Why the change, and how did the president land on 80?
The president still remains with his position that he is not going to unilaterally bring down tariffs on China. We need to see concessions from them as well. And again, that's part of the reason that Secretary Besson is going to talk to his Chinese counterparts this weekend to start those discussions in person. As for the 80% number, that was a number the president threw out there, and we'll see what happens this weekend. And always in the effort of transparency, I'm sure you'll hear directly from the Treasury Secretary or the president after those negotiations conclude. Jackie.
Thank you, Karoline. Why did the White House announce this deal with the UK before all of the details were finished?
That's not true, actually. I saw the fact sheet. I saw the deal as well before the president brought all of you in the Oval Office in the effort of transparency. You had the president and the prime minister on the phone talking to all of you directly about how this was a great deal, a phenomenal deal, and discussions will continue. But as I spoke to our Ambassador Greer yesterday, this is how trade deals work. You set an initial agreement, you set the framework, you set up the deal, and then of course, T's have to be crossed and I's have to be dotted. But this deal is a good deal, and the numbers are determined, and all of the market access that I just discussed will remain.
Does that mean that the 10% baseline is going to still be there at the end when all of the other details are ironed out?
The president is committed to the 10% baseline tariff, not just for the United Kingdom, but for his trade negotiations with all other countries as well.
Permanently, even after the deals are done, like that is going to remain.
The president is determined to continue with that 10% baseline tariff. I just spoke to him about it earlier. Stephen.
Thank you, Karoline. I'd like to ask about New York and about a personnel matter. On New York, the mayor, Eric Adams, is here today. Could you tell us anything more about the visit, who initiated it, what they're talking about? And also, is there any comment from the White House on the air traffic control issues in Newark?
All I will say on Mayor Eric Adams is that he requested a meeting with the president, and the president was willing to take it. If the president wishes to discuss his private meeting afterwards, I will let him do that himself. Yes, I'm glad you asked about the FAA. There was a glitch in the system this morning, especially at Newark Airport. As you all know, I spoke to the Department of Transportation. That glitch was caused by the same telecoms and software issues that were raised last week. Everything went back online after the brief outage, and there was no operational impact. DOT and the FAA are working to address this technical issue tonight to prevent further outages, as well as install new fiber from Newark Airport to Philadelphia. And the goal is to have the totality of this work done by the end of the summer. I want to add that this outage at Newark Airport speaks to why the Secretary of Transportation yesterday made a massive announcement in investing in our aviation safety and our telecom system. There's a 4-part infrastructure plan that was released by the Secretary of Transportation yesterday to improve communication, surveillance, automation, and their facilities. They want to replace the antiquated telecom systems with new fiber, wireless, and satellite technologies, replace more than 600 radars, which have gone way past their life cycle, and address runway safety. They want to build 6 new air traffic control centers for the first time since the 1960s and replace towers as well. They want to implement new modern hardware and software for all traffic facilities to create a common platform system throughout the towers. These are much needed changes. This is a very bold plan by the Department of Transportation. I think it's unfortunate that the previous administration sat on their hands and did nothing, but how grateful we are that we have a Department of Transportation and a secretary and a president who's willing to take bold action and change.
The personnel matter, Caroline, could I ask?
Thanks, Caroline. Just going back to India, Pakistan, can we expect President Trump to get in touch personally with the leaders of those countries to try and de-escalate this situation?
If and when that happens, we will certainly let you know. Natalie.
Thanks, Caroline. Sure. I have a question about the Middle East trip. Will any of the president's family members, like including Don Jr., Eric, or Jared Kushner, be joining him on the trip?
I am not tracking any of the president's family members joining us at this time, but of course the first family is welcome to come. I hope they would. They're great people, great to be around, but I'm not tracking them on the manifesto.
And given that you noted he is a successful businessman, do you know if the president has any plans to meet with any of the folks involved with any of the family businesses over there, or see any of the sites that are going to be
Not to my knowledge, and let me just get to the premise of your question that both of you have raised. I think it's frankly ridiculous that anyone in this room would even suggest that President Trump is doing anything for his own benefit. He left a life of luxury and a life of running a very successful real estate empire for public service, not just once, but twice. And again, the American public reelected him back to this White House because they trust he acts in the best interest of our country and putting the American public first. This is a president who has actually lost money for being president of the United States. I don't remember these same type of questions being asked of my predecessor about a career politician who was clearly profiting off of this office. That is not what President Trump does, and this White House holds ourselves to the highest of ethical standards. Phil.
Thank you. There's this Reuters report that the U.S. is in talks with Israel about an American-led post-war administration in Gaza. Is that accurate? Are these talks ongoing?
We are in constant communication and dialogue with our counterparts and our allies and friends in Israel. Ron Dermer was here at the White House yesterday meeting with members of President Trump's team. As for the situation in Gaza, the president and his entire national security team have made it very clear we want to see the hostages released from Gaza. That is a priority for this administration. As for what that looks like, and even moving beyond that, I'm not going to get into the details of plans that frankly may or may not have even been proposed, but I can emphasize what the president holds closest in his heart right now, and that's the release of all of the hostages in Gaza.
And then there's been some conservative pushback to some of these the salt tax cap. For instance, Majority Leader Steve Scalise said that bringing back the state and local tax deduction would essentially mean, quote, 45 states are subsidizing 5 states that have very high taxes imposed by leftist governors. Is he wrong? Is it fair to ask red Indiana to bail out blue New York?
Well, look, this is an ongoing discussion on the Hill. There's a lot of disagreement on Capitol Hill right now about the SALT tax proposal, and we will let them work it out. As for the tax provisions in the reconciliation bill, the priorities of this president, he has made them incredibly clear. No tax on tips for our hardworking service workers. No tax on Social Security for our well-deserving seniors who have worked their whole lives to pay into this system. No tax on overtime for hardworking Americans as well. And there's a plethora of other priorities the president wants to see in this bill. Anyone who opposes this bill will be opposing the largest tax cut in American history. They will be voting to raise taxes by the tune of $4 trillion on the middle class of this country. And we look forward to holding them accountable for that. Everyone on Capitol Hill on both sides of the aisle should be supportive of the president's tax priorities.
Follow up on that?
Go ahead. Sure. Go ahead, and then I'll go to your follow-up.
Thanks, Karoline. I want to follow up on the Truth Social post. So the president's saying 80% tariffs could come down. Just an announcement would be enough to lower those tariffs? Is that what he's looking for from the Chinese?
That's not what the president said. He said that an 80% number may sound good to him, but again, he's in constant contact with our Secretary of Treasury, who will be leading these negotiations this weekend.
And historically, the Chinese have made the meeting itself a win. What does a win look like out of these meetings for the president this weekend?
A good deal for the American worker and the American people. Go ahead.
Thanks, Karoline. Yeah, back to the reconciliation bill. Can you just clarify the president's position a little bit specifically on the tax issue? Because in his Truth Social post, he said this morning that he would accept even a tiny tax increase for the rich, but then says Republicans probably shouldn't do it, but I'm okay if they do it. So what is it that he wants? Does he want them to increase the tax rates?
The president wants tax cuts, the largest tax cuts in history. He wants to extend his historic tax cuts from 2017, and he wants to see all of the other tax priorities that I just laid out for you included in this bill as well. As for the policy proposal you're talking about, the president has said he himself personally would not mind paying a little bit more to help the poor and the middle class and the working class in this country. I think, frankly, that's a very honorable position. But again, these negotiations are ongoing on Capitol Hill, and the president will weigh in when he feels necessary.
Encourage them to have a higher bracket for top earners?
The president has made his personal position on this matter clear. Michael. The president's in constant communication with leaders on the Hill.
Ahead of the president's trip to the Middle East, he's mentioned he wants to rename the Persian Gulf the Gulf of Arabia. Iran is now saying that doing so will bring the wrath of all Iranians. Can you talk about the support that the Gulf of Arabia has in the region and why this is important to the president?
Well, first of all, the president has said he hasn't made a determination yet. That was in the news that you guys all asked him about it, and he said he wasn't quite sure. So he hasn't made a definitive decision on that yet.
And secondly, Karoline, the president has shown support for South African refugees that are coming to the United States next week. Can you talk about what these refugees are fleeing and why this is a priority for the administration?
Well, the president has actually signed an executive order on that matter. My office can get it back to you, Michael. But this group in South Africa has faced racial persecution. In fact, the government there has vowed to take away their farmland that they own. And so the president has talked significantly about this. As for further details on refugee claims and asylum claims, I would defer you to the State Department.
Can I follow up on that?
Go ahead. No, in front of you.
Thanks, sorry.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. Does the administration have any response to the news today that a federal judge has ordered the immediate release of Ramesa Ozturk from detention, and particularly his comments that the government submitted no evidence other than an op-ed that Ozturk wrote last year?
I will have to check in with the Department of Homeland Security on that particular case, but I think our overall feeling, we've made quite clear that lower-level judges should not be dictating the foreign policy of the United States, and we absolutely believe that the President and the Department of Homeland Security are well within their legal rights to deport illegal immigrants. As for visa revocations, the Secretary of State has the right to do that as well. It is a privilege, not a right, to come to this country on a visa. But I'll check in on the specific case. My office will get you details. Sure.
Caroline, yesterday the administration appears to have started dismantling the Consumer Product Safety Commission. This is the federal agency, an independent one that does recalls and is responsible for product safety. Does the administration not believe that it's important, to keep toys and cribs? I mean, you're a young mom, off of the product of the market.
It's a federal agency within which branch? It's the executive branch. Who's the head of the executive branch? The President of the United States.
Created by Congress.
He has the right to fire people within the executive branch. It's a pretty simple answer. Francesca.
Thanks. One foreign policy one and then a domestic policy thing, if I could. As far as the president's trip goes next week, is he planning to meet with the FIFA president in either Saudi Arabia or Qatar? And if so, could you give us some more details about that?
The president has quite a few meetings with many people when he is there. We can certainly check at the itinerary and let you know if the FIFA president will be there next week. Frankly, I'm not quite sure, but we can certainly get you an answer. As you know, the president attended a FIFA task force meeting at the White House this week.
And on the domestic front, could you explain why the FEMA administrator was removed from his position this week?
Look, this is a personnel matter in regards to the Department of Homeland Security, but my understanding is that this individual testified saying something that was contrary to what the president believes and the goals of this administration in regards to FEMA policy. And so, of course, we want to make sure that people in every position are advancing the administration's goals. But as for specifics, I defer you to the Department of Homeland Security. We leave it up to our great cabinet secretaries when it comes to personnel matters. Sure, in the back.
Thank you. Aid hasn't gone into Gaza in 10 weeks. Israel says that this is a policy to pressure Hamas in the negotiations, the ceasefire negotiations. Is this a policy that this administration supports?
The president answered this week. He said that he wants to ensure that aid can get into Gaza, but we have to do it in a responsible way to ensure it doesn't end up in the hands of terrorists. So this is something the administration is actively working on, and when we have a policy to announce on this definitively, we can certainly let you know.
Can you talk about this effort for the U.S. to take over the distribution of aid in Gaza, to exclude Israel, but also international organizations said this effort militarizes aid?
I would reject that characterization by whatever groups you are citing. Kelly.
Caroline, thank you. I want to get back to the First Lady Melania Trump dealing with foster children. That's an important component in American life to see what happens to the future of our children, particularly in foster care. Can you explain the significance of this development between the First Lady and the housing and urban development?
Yes, absolutely. It's millions of dollars that will go into a program that helps these children transition out of foster care to have productive and positive lives. And I'd like to share a personal story since you asked if I may. I hope the First Lady won't mind. I was at an event in Florida last year, and I was approached by a gentleman who was a foster dad, and he had taken in I think it was 6 or 7 foster children. And he spoke to me. He had recognized me in my work for President Trump's campaign at the time. And the little boy who was with him talked about the personal relationship that he had with First Lady Melania Trump. And the conversation she had with him and how she really encouraged him to be the best that he could be during her first term here at the White House, and how even after she and President Trump left the White House, she kept in very close touch with this young foster child. It was a touching moment that I will never forget, and it speaks to the heart of this First Lady and the great work that she is doing for foster children. And this is certainly a very big announcement that I know our Secretary of Housing and Urban Development is in particular very excited about, and we can certainly get you all the details on that program. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. I want to ask you about the trade deal that the President announced yesterday with the UK as it relates to the auto sector.
Sure.
The trade group that represents the big three here in the U.S. believes that it may put the big three automakers at a competitive disadvantage. What the trade group says is that it will now be cheaper to import a UK vehicle with very little American content than a USMCA compliant vehicle imported from Mexico or Canada with just 50% American content. What's your response to that criticism coming from this trade group?
Well, first of all, let's be clear about what the deal does. It sets a 10% rate on auto imports for the first 100 cars that are imported into the United States. 100,000 cars, thank you. That would be very few cars. 100,000 cars imported from the United Kingdom. After 100,000 vehicles, it goes back up to a 25% tariff. And as for our U.S. auto manufacturers, our auto industry, the President wants to put them on the best pedestal to compete. And by the way, if they produce vehicles right here in the United States of America, they will face no tariff at all. I would argue of any industry, the President has spent more time talking to and listening to the concerns of our auto industry here at home. He hears them. He believes in them. He wants to see them produce their vehicles here in the United States of America. This is a good deal for them, too.
Is this a model for European and Asian vehicles as well, what we see coming out of the UK trade deal with the U.S.?
Look, all of these deals are going to be tailor-made. The President has said that from the beginning. It's very apropos that the first trade deal was announced between the United States and the United Kingdom, one of our oldest and greatest allies. But each country has unique concerns and challenges in terms of American industry. We need to open up markets in every single country, and obviously the needs are unique. So our trade team is looking at each country and the advantages that we can pursue for American industries and American workers. Sure.
Happy early Mother's Day. Oh, thank you. The President said yesterday that he would be speaking with Zelensky shortly. Did that call happen yesterday, or do we expect that to happen in the near term?
The call happened yesterday. President Zelensky called the President to tell him that the critical minerals deal had passed the parliament in Ukraine. I talked to the President about that call. He said it was very good and productive, and of course the critical minerals deal is great for Ukraine, but also of course for the United States of America and our taxpayers here. It was a good call, and they also spoke about, of course, this ceasefire that the President proposed, the 30-day ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, which we know Europe is on board with, and we hope both countries will agree to.
Just on next week, do we expect President Putin, is there any chance that he could meet with Trump while he's in the region?
The President answered this yesterday. Not going to happen.
Question on ceasefire. Has he got any reaction from Zelensky or Putin on the proposal for ceasefire? Is he satisfied by the reaction to that proposal?
Not to my knowledge, but certainly if there is reaction and updates, I'm sure you'll hear directly from the President.
Question, the President fired the Librarian of Congress. Why did he choose to do that?
We felt she did not fit the needs of the American people. There were quite concerning things that she had done at the Library of Congress in the pursuit of DEI and putting inappropriate books in the library for children, and we don't believe that she was serving the interests of the American taxpayer well, so she has been removed from her position, and the President is well within his rights to do that. John.
Thank you, Caroline. Happy Mother's Day as well.
Thank you.
President Trump ran on delivering the biggest tax cut in history, got over 70 million votes. Right now, you got a handful of obstructionists in the Republican conference that are saying they're not going to go along with his tax cut package. You just said those that don't will be held accountable. What is your description of being held accountable?
Well, look, I think they'll be held accountable by the voters in their respective districts if they choose to vote for a tax hike to the tune of $4 trillion, which would raise taxes to thousands of dollars per household in this country. The President has great political instincts. That's why he's back in the Oval Office, and Capitol Hill should follow his lead. As for the president, speaking of him, he will be signing executive orders later this afternoon. We are happy to provide more information on those executive orders if you wish. Thank you for the Mother's Day wishes, and happy Mother's Day to all of the moms in the room. And don't forget to call your mom this Sunday. We'll see you guys later. Have a good weekend. Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, that wraps up the White House press briefing on this Friday, May 9th. Thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Awesome to see the great Karoline Leavitt just, hold it down there at the White House and really just take on any kind of questions from the fake news and then also some conservative media there as we continue our live coverage right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. If there's any breaking news today or tomorrow or even through the weekend, we have you covered here at Right Side. Any big breaking news, we'd have you covered right here. Also, you can check us out online, Truth Social, on X, all of the social media platforms out there available to you as we continue to see our country be made great again. A number of sponsors to thank as we wrap up this broadcast on this Friday. Colonial Metals Group. All you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. You'll get a free info kit in the mail all about Colonial Metals Group. All Family Pharmacy, another great sponsor here at Right Side. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. If you're looking for ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or methylene blue or other medications out there, All Family Pharmacy, that's the place to go. .com/RSBN. Also, speaking of RSBN, there's a promo code you can use for MyPillow. MyPillow.com/RSBN. The Giza Dream Street sheets, say that 3 times fast, $49. Now, great price there. I know my family and I, we have some of those sheets. We want to order some more, to be honest with you. We were just talking about it yesterday. So Giza Dream Sheets, there's a sale, $49 a pop. Great set of sheets right there. A lot of awesome products on mypillow.com/RSBN. And if you'd like to donate to the network, just text RSBN to 801-801. So just text RSBN to 801-801. We hope you guys have an awesome, awesome weekend. Happy Mother's Day for the 11th coming up. Also, again, stay up to date with any news coverage right here at Right Side. You can go to at RSB Network for X, at RSBN on Truth Social. You can also download our app, and also we'll be posting as many articles as possible when it comes to America First News. Until Monday, we'll see you then. Of course, the president on the way to the Middle East on Monday. A lot of coverage coming up next week. But again, just because we're leaving you now doesn't mean the news is stopping. We'll definitely have posts on our various social media platforms. On top of that, at 4 o'clock today, the president will be signing some executive orders. We will upload that to Rumble and to other social media platforms. For all of us at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for watching. All of you guys in the chats and on YouTube and Rumble and elsewhere, have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense, and they make it easy to get hard-to-find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.